I don't think that it matters whether he was here or not. Let me say that the Supreme Court has given its ruling, but we vehemently disagree with their position. I think that it is a sad day for all of us. That if what it means is that Asenoff is also not going to have representation in Parliament for as long as this case lasts. That is a sad situation, because there are precedents in this country. We all remember the case in Ayawaso, West Wagon, where the lady was allowed to stay in Parliament until the final day of the determination of the case. So I thought that the Supreme Court will consider that situation and allow a representation. You see, this is a representation matter. If people have voted for a person, this is a representation matter. They deserve representation in Parliament. And so we thought that when the case is on, we could still have a representation in Parliament. But that is what the Supreme Court has said. The legal team will meet, of course, and also officially know the next step to take. Thank you.
It's very, very interesting that in the early 2000s, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2012, Bost was working. It was making some losses, but it was working. It was refining. Once we hit commercial production of crude, Bost has no longer found this space to work. Tor. Sorry, Tor. But if Tor was in production, the pressure on the dollar from at least the petroleum side wouldn't be as acute as it has been. If Bost was refining and producing, say, 40% of our national needs from crude, because we don't always have a direct link between crude prices and petroleum product prices. It's not a straight line, because other things come in. And refined products are far more expensive than unrefined products. So and you get more out of unrefined products than refined products. So if Bost was, if Tor, why did you come and sit here with your beard? If Tor was refining, one, it to guarantee jobs for the many Ghanaians working there. Two, we'll be getting more petroleum products out of the crude that we bring to Tor, and it will be better for us. Even the last bit is that we'll be getting bitumen for our roads as well. Now you go and buy refined products, you have to import also bitumen to come and do our roads. So collectively, every effort must be made to ensure that Tor comes back to work. We are listening to the experts. Some strategic partners have already applied. A committee is being set up between Public Enterprises, SIGA, Energy Ministry and Finance Ministry to look at these proposals to ensure that we select a partner that would invest in Tor to make it an efficient operating refinery for the betterment of us. The laws is what we use to prosecute. And I ask myself, what is ECG interested in? ECG is interested in this money. So if they come and cut you and you come and make an arrangement and they receive their money or they're going to receive their money, what is the point of going to court? Court is the last resort. Courts are the last resort. But I can assure you the judiciary system has already put in place special courts for electricity offenders, where judges have been appointed, where when you go, some of these recalcitrant institutions will find out that the power will be given to ECG to garnish your account. So you can say you won't pay, but when they take the money directly, I'm not sure you can say you won't pay. ECG itself, when it fails to pay another government institution called GRA of the necessary pensions, whatever, taxes, GRA takes the position of going to garnish ECG account. Because the GRA cannot go and do doomsaw in ECG, or cannot go and pull the meter. So they have taken the position that every week, if you don't pay me a certain amount of money out of your debt that you owe me as GRA, they are all Ghanaian institutions. That's why I'm using that example, so that nobody says I picked on somebody. They garnish ECG accounts. And as a minister, I support the garnish. So I've asked ECG, for those who are saying, we won't pay, you go to court, you get the power to garnish, and you send the garnish. When I was the Minister of Education, somebody sent garnish from WA to come and take 10 million from Ghana Education Service for land that was bought in the 50s. It's an easier way. So we are going to employ everything available. But my first option is not court. My first option is not prosecution. My first option is to deny you the service of electricity so that you come and sit down and arrange payment. ECG is not saying that pay 100% today. Be responsible that you don't continue to accumulate. So the first thing is that you have to demonstrate to them that from now going, I'll pay on time. For the debt, I can pay this amount now, and for the rest, please spread it out for me. We have to be responsible Ghanaians. That is all it is to say. The e-mobility policy as is being advanced and worked on by Energy Commission. Today is Wednesday. On Monday, I received a letter from the Ministry of Finance asking for a committee to be set up between Energy Commission, Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Transport, and a host of other ministries that are involved to ensure, because the Ministry of Energy was requesting for a curtailment in duties and tariffs when you are bringing e-mobility cars. E-mobility means electric vehicles, virtually. In this country, that is what we mean. In other areas, there are hybridized fuel cars and things that can be put in the system as well. But that work is continuing. If somebody is going to bring a car in that is electric, that is going to cost more in duties than bringing the other cars with normal fuel, then it's a disincentive. So in most countries, when the country starts going e-mobility or implementing those policies, they, for a time, waive duties and things on those products so that they become competitive for the people to bring. When I interacted at the policy launch of e-mobility with one of the fleet vehicle owners servicing some companies in Tema, I was astonished that the company had decided on, based upon economics. He said, I operate Nissan vehicles, Nissan Evan buses. And I realized that it cost me nearly 5,400 Ghana cedis on fuel in a month. When I bought my first e-vehicle, the same Nissan, but this time electronic, it cost me less than 700 cedis a month. So because of that, he has ordered 80, not because of our climate resilient plans, not because of our energy transition, not because of anything, but if he is going to pay only 700 cedis for fuel for the same car a month, he has done the economics.
On March 29, 2022, the Black Stars of Ghana sealed qualification to the 2022 World Cup at the expense of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We are at the headquarters of the Ghana Football Association to speak to a man who was with the team throughout their journey. Henry Asante Chum, the Communications Director of the Ghana Football Association, is my guest on Sports Check. And we are going to talk about the two games against Nigeria as well as the draw for the 2022 World Cup. Ghana have been pitted against Uruguay, South Korea, and Portugal. We'll be previewing those games, his opinion, and other issues on this edition of Sports Check. My name is Perez Ezwapa, and once we come back from this break, we start the conversation. Welcome back from the break. My guest today is Henry Asante Chum of the Ghana Football Association. Henry, first of all, congrats to you and the FA for qualifying to the World Cup.
Thank you.
After the AFCON, we also were up in it. It wasn't a performance that everyone was proud of. There was a lot of pressure on the Ghana Football Association, especially the president, to qualify us for the World Cup. How big of an achievement is it for you guys to seal qualification to Qatar?
Well, thank you once again. I think it's the dream of every leader of this football family to make it to the World Cup. You realize that, yes, in the past we've struggled until 2006 when we qualified for our first World Cup in Germany. It didn't end there. We made it to the South Africa 2010 World Cup, and we made history by becoming the third African country to make it to the quarterfinals. We were hoping to improve on that record in Brazil in 2014. Things didn't go well. So in 2018, again, we couldn't make it at all to Russia. So there was always the need for us to put in measures to bounce back and to get back to where we belong and to be counted among the top 32 teams across the globe. I'm sure that many Ghanaians had doubts on the back of our performance at the Cup of Nations in Cameroon, but we had belief and we kept faith in the setup that we put in place. You remember that immediately after the AFCON, Milovan Rajvac was relieved of his post as coach of the team, and the Executive Council took a firm decision on the back of pressure from the public and other quarters that we needed a particular candidate, or for that matter, a particular person to take over the reins of the team. But the Executive Council felt Otoado was the right man. We took a decision to engage his club or his employers, which for me, Dortmund were very professional in dealing with the FA. The FA president, Tony Baffo, and the technical director traveled to Germany to engage Dortmund on a number of occasions. Eventually, we landed our man. And I think that when you look back and you look back at that decision, that moment when the ESCO took that decision, and today, and you reflect and you analyze, there is only one thing that you'll be proud of, and that is the fact that that decision has yielded the needed dividend. And today, we are in Qatar to play at the 2022 World Cup.
Of course, there is some vindication for the FA with their decision to stick with the Otoado, because there was a lot of pressure to go for Chris Hughton. Some even criticized the structure of the technical setup. So it's a huge achievement for the FA, the council, and your very self and everyone here, for sticking to your grounds and qualifying us. But what went into the decision to appoint Otoado? What did you guys see? I've heard the FA president say 2 minutes into his meeting with him, he got convinced that Otoado was the right man for the job, and the other coaches as well. What went into the decision to appoint Otoado? Because it was, quote unquote, against the wish of the public, if I should say it that way.
Well, we had worked with Otoado when he came in as an assistant coach during the era of Milovan Rajvac. He played a major role in putting the team together, in assembling the squad, and in helping his former boss, Milovan Rajvac. Otto played 4 matches when he was assistant coach. When we beat Zimbabwe 3-1 in Cape Coast, he was the assistant coach. We went to Harare to win 1-0. We played Ethiopia in Johannesburg in South Africa. 1-1 it ended, and then we played South Africa here in Cape Coast, and we won 1-0, for which reason we qualified to the playoff zone. So we saw something unique in him, his attention to detail, his attitude to work, and the fact that he was committed to excellence, made us believe that in that short time interval, if there was somebody who qualified to do the job, we couldn't have looked beyond Otto Addo. But today, when those people look back, I'm sure they will take back their words.
You mentioned time, and it's one thing that we didn't have prior to those games because we came off a very poor AFCON. We rank changes in the technical department. Otto Addo barely had 6 weeks, and Nigeria were playing good. I mean, based on what the display that they have come, what did Otto Addo and the technical team do? Because for me, I think the victory was down to the coaches we had. So what did they do within the period to turn the tide in our favor?
They worked very hard. They worked tirelessly. They showed leadership and they showed competence. There was leadership amongst the 4 coaches. Let me not take out Richard Kingston, who was already around. Sure. And there was competence that was on display. I mean, once the appointment became official, we decided to, keep to our policy and our plan by not releasing a lot of information to the public. We knew they were working behind the scenes. We knew they were meeting physically and also on Zoom, looking at tactics, watching videos, looking at deployments, watching videos of our team, looking at the strength of the Black Stars and also that of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They had to put, together a unique plan for the 2 games within that 6-week period, and it wasn't easy. I remember in one of the meetings that the president had with the technical team and the management committee, he mentioned that if there is God, then that God will reward them in the 2 matches. Because, we couldn't imagine the amount of investment that went into the preparation of the team. The amount of work that went into studying the opponent, into watching videos, individual videos of every single player of the Nigerians. And it is not something they were doing, individually. They all come together, sit together, watch videos, analyze, and share ideas. And that commitment is what, we saw on the pitch.
You have followed the game a lot, decades of journalism experience. The second half of that game, for me, was interesting because it's one thing a coach realizing that we need changes, and it's another thing a coach having the guts and having the temerity to say, let me do it now. That, for me, those decisions change the tide and ensure that, what does that say about Otto Addo and his technical team? How impressed from a journalistic perspective?
Well, they're on top of their job. That's how I'll describe it. I was on the bench with them through and through. Every second, the decisions they were making between Otto and George Boateng and Didi Dramani, they always conferred to look at what could be the trump card for the team. Immediately after the blast of the whistle for the end of the first half, they had a mini conference on the pitch before going to the dressing room, and that was when they took the decision. I was standing behind them, and I heard everything they discussed. So at that moment, they decided to switch to back 5 and 5 back anytime we defend, and then 5 in the middle whenever we have possession. So you realize that they brought on Andy Yadom, he replaced Ishahaku, then they shifted Dennis Odoi to the left to add to Gideon Mensah. So whenever Emmanuel Dennis has possession, he had 2 players going in for a tackle. And then they brought on Elisha Owusu for Baba Idrisu. It's because Elisha is comfortable on the ball. And so once Elisha picks possession, Daniel Kofiche will move into space and he will lay a pass to him. And that's why Kofiche also came on for Jordan Ayew. And then in the last 10 minutes of the game, Afenajan had wear and tear because he was always jumping and going in for the hard tackles and running around, picking possession. So they also took him out and brought on Kwesi Ocherith. And at some point, we needed somebody who would go in for tackles and destroy their attack once they build from behind. And Kudus does not have that ability. So Kudus is flamboyant on the ball, and then his shooting accuracy is also great. But at that moment, you didn't need his caliber on the pitch. So there was a need to bring in a different player. So they took off Mohamed Kudus.
Kudos to the technical team for qualifying us to the World Cup. But we've won, our players were They had their shirts off. Some of them were celebrating. Then all of a sudden, chaos broke. You were in the stadium. I mean, tell us your experience.
It was frightening at some point. It was frightening when, you know, the Abuja Stadium is similar to the Baba Sports Stadium. The only difference is that the inner perimeter in Kumasi is a metal, so it's difficult to break through. And again, you cannot scale it easily. The length of the inner perimeter in Abuja is quite shorter than that of the Baba Sports Stadium. So they ended up scaling that inner perimeter to come onto the pitch. Now, immediately after the blast of the final whistle, yes, our players were jubilating. Then we moved to the end where the Ghanaian supporters were to respond to the cheers. Then that was when the security coordinator for the game told us to all come to the middle or the center of the pitch, because that was when they started hurling bottles and other objects at the team. So we all moved straight to the center circle, and we converged there for a few minutes. Then the man started counting us down that we should look at him and we should follow his instructions. At that time, some of the fans had started coming onto the pitch. They were scaling the inner perimeter to come onto the pitch, and it began to look scary. It was quite scary. So we followed the instructions of the security coordinator, and he started counting down from 1 to 5. And immediately when he mentioned 5, he asked all of us to rush through the tunnel. So we all rushed into the tunnel together. I think the last player was Thomas Partey, and I think one of the fans hit him with a bottle at his right shoulder. But at that time, we had all moved into the tunnel. So as soon as we moved into the tunnel, we were ushered through to our dressing room. From the tunnel to our dressing room is about 150 meters. But from the dressing room to the pitch is about 2 minutes walk. So as soon as we entered the dressing room, we locked the dressing room for security reasons. Sure. And that was when the jubilation started in the dressing room. So we did not even have any knowledge of what was happening in terms of the vandalization and all the destruction and all that on the pitch until we finished and started seeing videos of the incident on social media. But
I read somewhere that he had an experience, one of the Nigerian players. We were going to congratulate him or console him, whatever. Then he took it wrongly, and it turned into some scuffle.
Shehu Abdallah he's not my friend anyway, cause but in Kumasi, when they were training, I was there and we had a chat, and same in Nigeria, and I like his style of play. So when the referee blew his whistle for the end of proceedings and we started our jubilation, I saw him, shedding tears. He was crestfallen. And as a good sportsman, I felt there was a need to just approach him and to console him, pat him on the back. So I approached him, I went to him, his head was down, and he was weeping actually, because it wasn't a good moment for them. So I tapped him and said, Shehu, better luck next time. I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure that your team is strong enough to bounce back in 4 years' time. I don't know how he took it. Maybe he misunderstood what I said. So he got up and rushed on me. But because I didn't want to create a scene, I immediately left the scene. And so my players, I think Gideon Mensah and Mantari Kamahini and Andy Adam tried to restrain him. And they did that. And later I saw Kudus as well joining the three of them. But that time I had left the scene. I was long gone, I was long gone. But it's one of those things. It happens. I cannot blame him. It was tough to take, hard to take that moment of despair and disappointment. So I can understand, but it is not something that I went there to tease him or to make him feel bad. I only went there to show goodwill by wishing him well for the future.
I don't know what I say. It's a funny experience or it's a strange one, but I mean either way, I think it reflects how hurt the Nigerians were, because they didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I think that based on our performance at the outcome, based on the result they had here, they thought they were gone, and
home and dry.
And especially a 1-1 draw was difficult to take. I'm sure that reaction is a perfect reflection of that. But we are going for a break. Once we come back, we will continue. We've qualified. The draw has been done. What's next for the Black Stars? Welcome back from the break. My name is Perez Ezoakwa, and it's Sports Check. We've been speaking to Henry Asante-Chum of the Ghana Football Association. He's been telling us about his experience in Abuja, Nigeria. But now, we switch focus to the draw. We've been drawn against Portugal, Uruguay, and South Korea. There are some familiar foes in there. Overall, what do you make of the draw? Did we have a fair draw, or it's a difficult one?
I think it's an interesting mix. Uruguay, two-time champions. Uruguay, they have a history with Ghana. I remember in 2006, before we played at the World Cup in Germany, we played South Korea. That team had Ji-Sung Park and co. We beat them by 3-1 in one of the friendly matches in Edinburgh, in Scotland. So, yes, our history with South Korea dates back to those days. Recently, the Black Meteors were in Japan and Korea as well for friendly matches. Unfortunately, we were loaded in those two friendly matches. But that notwithstanding, I think they are a strong team from the Asian belt. They lost only one game during the qualifiers. They have an experienced side as well. They have a young manager who is pushing to make a name for himself. In their team, they are a blend of experienced players and upcoming players, but they play for some of the top teams across the globe in the German Bundesliga. Baba Idrisu plays with one of them in Real Mallorca in the Spanish La Liga, and then they also have Tottenham Hotspur's Son Heung-min, who is the senior most player in the setup. So the Koreans are a very strong side. Portugal, of course, I mean, Bernardo Silva, Pepe, Cristiano Ronaldo, Fernandez, among others, a very experienced team as well. At least in the last 2 European Championships, they've won one, and they won it at the expense of host nation France in the previous encounter. So they also have a history with Ghana. You remember we met them in the 2014 World Cup, where they beat us by 2-1 in that tournament. But we are also a force. Speaking of which, in 2006, we were the lowly ranked team in our group, but we made it to the second round. Same in 2010. Serbia, we won against Serbia, we drew against Australia, and then we lost to Germany, and we were able to progress to the next round, which we beat USA and also made it to the quarterfinal, where we lost to Uruguay on penalties. So we are a force.
Right after the draw, Ghanaians started speculating that the desire to avenge what happened in 2010 should be a motivating factor for the Black Stars when they come up against Uruguay. Would that not be a bit of pressure on the team?
Well, fortunately, we will play Portugal and Korea before we play Uruguay. So by that time, I'm sure we would know our fate in the group stages. I do not think that is going to bring any pressure whatsoever on the team. I believe.
But do we think it's the right time for us to revenge for what happened in 2010, or it's a normal game?
I'm sure that you're going to also be under pressure. I'm sure Luis Suarez himself will be under pressure because he's one of the few players who is still in the team who played in that tournament in 2010. So they will also be under pressure. They will be thinking of, wow, it's a completely new setup from Ghana, because the only player who is still around from the teams that we presented at these two competitions against Nigeria is Andre Ayew. Jonathan Mensah was in the team, but I don't know if he will make it to the World Cup. So it is only the captain who was part of that team. We have a completely new team at this moment. Players who haven't played at the World Cup ever before who will be, playing against the Uruguayan. So, in as much as we would want to avenge, they will also go out there thinking of putting up a good show against a giant from the African continent. So we will not be overawed. I'm sure we'll be prepared for the stage. I'm sure we'll be battle ready, and we'll give them a good fight.
My last on the World Cup though, how confident are you of our chances of making it after the group stage? The president has told us to go and make an impact. How confident are you of our chances based on, the team and then the competition we're going to face in Group H?
When it comes to playing at the World Cup, we are not a minnow. Maybe the only area where one may argue is the fact that this team is completely new, but it doesn't change anything. I don't believe that Thomas Partey is a minnow in football.
Sure.
Judging from what he does at Arsenal week in, week out, and what he was doing previously at Atletico Madrid. Alexander Djiku plays against Neymar and Messi in the French League 1. So why would he falter at the World Cup? Because he is making his debut at the World Cup. We believe in these players. We know we have a competent squad. We know we have what it takes to make a huge impression and a good one at a world stage. We have always encouraged our players that the best and the greatest opportunity ever is to rub shoulders among the top teams in the world. And it couldn't have been any better playing against Portugal, playing against South Korea, playing against Uruguay. We will be battle ready for Qatar 2022.
So we wrap up with discussions on the Black Stars, but let's count a few personal issues. But even before we get to the World Cup, there is a major decision, to be taken. That's the coaching. They had just the Nigeria game, then afterwards a major decision was going to be taken. What is happening with regards to the future of Coach Otuado and the other members of the technical team?
Okay, so their appointment was for the 2 matches. Let's not forget that before we appointed them as interim coaches, we engaged their employers. We spoke to Dortmund, we spoke to Aston Villa, and then we spoke to Norgeland and Right to Dream for them to release Didi, Otto, and George. Chris was unattached, so it was a matter of dealing with him and his lawyers to get a deal done. So now that the 2 games are over, I think we need to go back to the table and speak to the employers of these 3 coaches. The Executive Council is yet to meet to take a firm decision, but whatever it is in terms of the future or the technical direction of the team will be duly communicated once the Executive Council firms it up. You first of all need to speak to the coaches and find out if they are raring and ready to go. Once that is done, then you need to engage their employers and ask for their release for the World Cup. Fortunately, the European calendar, or for that matter, the various leagues would have ended at that time, so it will not be too big a task for their release. But by virtue of respecting our relationship and respecting the agreement we had with them, we need to go back to them and speak to them. And once that is done and we have that agreement in place, a formal announcement will be made. So
there are no truths in report that Otuado is going to leave and Chris Hughton is going to take over as the head coach?
No such decision has been taken by the Executive Council.
Now, let me take you to an interesting angle of the whole company. It's regard to the future of certain players who some Ghanaians feel should be part of the team. Some feel that the players who played in the qualifiers should be rewarded with places in the tournament itself. Others also feel that the likes of Mohamed Salisu, Hassan Oda, Tariq Lamptey, and the like should be included in the squad. Now let's deal with each player. Let's come to Mohamed Salisu. What is the situation? What's the status of that? The engagement with him. I know the FA have been engaging with him more firm. What's the status?
Salisu is a Ghanaian. Salisu is qualified to play for Ghana. So it has nothing to do with where he plays, but if he is informed, if he's not injured, he qualifies to play for the Black Stars. But it is always the express decision of the coach. Yes, I can confirm that in the past we've made overtures, we've approached him on a number of occasions. CK did, Milova knew, but it doesn't change anything. I don't believe that Thomas Partey is a minnow in football.
Sure.
Judging from what he does at Arsenal week in, week out, and what he was doing previously at Atletico Madrid. Alexander Djiku plays against Neymar and Messi in the French League 1. So why would he falter at the World Cup? Because he is making his debut at the World Cup. We believe in these players. We know we have a competent squad. We know we have what it takes to make a huge impression, and a good one at a world stage. We have always encouraged our players that the best and the greatest opportunity ever is to rub shoulders among the top teams in the world. And it couldn't have been any better, playing against Portugal, playing against South Korea, playing against Uruguay. We will be battle ready for Qatar 2022.
So we wrap up with discussions on the Black Stars, but let's count a few personal issues as well. I mean, you've crossed from mainstream journalism to more of you're in the PR space right now. How difficult or easy has it been for you navigating this crossover?
Well, obviously it's not easy, but it is what it is. You cannot change the situation. You need to respect. You need to develop the attitude of respecting people's opinions. You do not have to see them as enemies. You do not also need to describe them, quote unquote, as them and us, or they and us. In our part of the world, we seem to take offense when people are expressing their candid opinion or putting their opinions across. Now, you cannot always get or score 100% in any facet of this industry. What we have done is to be accessible. What we have done is to project our products as much as possible. What we have done is to open our doors to the media as much as possible. But in all of these, there will be criticisms, and I don't think there is any problem whatsoever.
My last question, do you think we can make top four? I'm using we because we are both Arsenal fans. Can we make top four this season?
I didn't expect this. I think I was a bit surprised when we lost to Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
I was shocked, actually. 27 minutes or so, we conceded 2 goals. And then later, 78th minute, we considered a penalty and lost by 3 goals to 0. There are 11 more matches to go. I had a chat with Thomas the very day he returned from the international break.
Okay.
And I wish my phone was here. I would have shown you the message he sent to me. He said, bro, we have 12 finals to play. 12. Those were his words. We have 12 finals to play. Unfortunately, Crystal Palace is over. It didn't end well, but there are 11 more games to play. Man United are in contention, Spurs are in contention, and Arsenal as well. We will see, but I am quite optimistic that we can make it to the top 4.
I mean, thank you very much, Henry Asante. So we've been speaking to Mr. Hart. We've wrapped up on a whole lot of conversation. This is Sports Check, and it will come your way with another edition. Japon.
I don't think that it matters whether he was here or not. let me say that the Supreme Court has given its ruling, but we vehemently disagree with their position. I think that it is a sad day for all of us. That if what it means is that a send-off is also not going to have representation in Parliament for as long as this case lasts. That is a sad situation, because there are precedents in this country. We all remember the case in Ayawaso, West Wagon, where the lady was allowed to stay in Parliament until the final day of the determination of the case. So I thought that the Supreme Court will consider that situation and allow a representation. You see, this is a representation matter. If people have voted for a person, this is a representation matter. They deserve representation in Parliament. And so we thought that when the case is on, we could still have a representation in Parliament. But that is what the Supreme Court has said. The legal team will meet, of course, and also officially know the next step to take. Thank you.
In Ghana and in Accra, as a matter of fact, the issue of land litigation is quite prevailing. Today we are at Accra Tesano, where a family is worried about their property being taken over by a developer. We speak to the family head to get an insight of the whole situation. Sir, welcome to Say It Loud.
Well, I'm not actually the family head. I'm one of the sons. We've lived here for over 60 years. My dad owned all this property and the property here, and in his will, he divided it among his children. This happens to be part of what was given to me in his will. Next thing I know, a developer comes and he decides that he's bought it from some chief who doesn't even have jurisdiction here, but he has the equipment and he has the wherewithal, and he's protected by the police and local authorities, and he's taken over everything. He's refusing to wait for us to go to the courts and have things resolved. We've served the bailiff to come over and figure out what's going on, but he's not willing to wait and let the courts decide. I guess his game is to try to develop everything before we can go to court. Within 2 days, this is the amount of work he's done. This whole place was farmland where we had subsistence farming, and over that side was leased to mechanics. He's driven them all off, he's destroyed all the farm stuff, and he's decided within 2 days he's building his footing and everything over the property.
You said you have documents covering...
We have the documents dating 1959. Before this man moved here, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. And he's not even as old as when we got the indenture. Yeah.
You actually mentioned this man. Who is the person that you're talking about there?
His name is Richard Halmador. I'm not quite sure how you spell the last name.
And who is he beyond his name? What else?
Based on what my research shows, he owes KNet. He's supposed to be have a contract with the country, with the government, and he's supposed to be doing some, I guess, from analog to digital. He's a government. He's got a contract with the government. He's into IT, and I guess he's got deep pockets, so he can take over and bully anybody he wants.
So that's what you feel. You feel like you are being bullied.
Yes, of course. He's got the resources and he's got the equipment. They're parked right in his yard, and he bullies everybody and takes whatever he wants. and we see the law enforcement is not reasonable. They seem to have been bought, because instead of them being neutral, they seem to be backing him.
You said all of this happened within 2 days. Walk us through what has actually happened within the last 2 days.
Within the last 2 days, he's demolished and destroyed all the fruit trees. He's moved all the mechanics who were back there. He's dug up a footing for his. He's destroyed my wall that encompasses the area, and he's now putting in a footing to put his own wall. He doesn't want to wait for the courts to decide. He's making a unilateral decision of taking whatever he believes is his.
Today is Thursday, and 2 days will be like
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yes.
When you woke up on Tuesday, what happened?
We woke up early in the morning. It starts about 5 o'clock, and he starts the work. He's got the equipment right in his yard next door, and they start demolishing and everything. Within 2 days, this is the amount of destruction that has taken place.
You have tenants living on the land. You mentioned mechanics and
yes.
all that.
Yes.
Probably.
And he brought the Tesano police to protect his thievery of the land.
That's how you describe it. He brought the police, means he understands that there's some sort of law that is supposed to guide what he's doing. What did he tell the tenants? Did he bring any documents to prove legitimacy to what he's...
No, we went to the police station and we spoke to the regional commander. He said he was going to resolve and see what was going to happen. He advised us to stay away for at least 2 days while we resolve issues. But apparently it didn't matter, because right after we left the commander, it didn't matter what he said. These guys came back and started back demolishing and building. With the Tesano Police Department. My sister was coming to the house this morning, and the police had a squad car with police with guns drawn out, and they traumatized her, asked to see her phone to make sure she wasn't videotaping anything, and pulled up and looked through the phone. They're just intimidating and bullying us around.
All right, so yeah, this is Say Loud on GhanaWeb TV. My name is George Isi. We've been speaking to a family member here at Tesano. They say that their land or property is being taken over unduly by a developer. They've named him as Mr. Richard Promotional, the owner and CEO of KNet Ghana. We'll be right back, and when we come back, we'll speak to the family member more about how this is affecting the family and what they are trying to do legally to ensure that they get redress. Welcome back. This is Still Say Loud on GhanaWeb TV with me, George AC, and as we informed you earlier, we're at Tesano, where we are speaking to a family who says their land is unduly being possessed by a developer. We have joining us now the family head. Auntie, your name?
My name is Vivian Tamakle. Okay, this is our father's property, and he left it to the children, the siblings. He divided it for the children. We woke up on Tuesday morning, and then this man, our next door neighbor, Richard, the last name is a big name, I can't even pronounce it. They just started felling the trees on it and digging up the whole place.
Your brother informs us that he claims to have bought the land from some chiefs. Who are these chiefs he's referring to?
The man said he bought it from the Assyrian lands too. That's where he said he got them. The man who sold the land to this Richard guy said he got it from Assyrian lands too.
So with all this happening, what is the family doing to seek redress?
We've gone to court, and we've obtained injunction. The bailiff is on his way to this place to serve the man with that injunction.
Your brother believes that he's not going to comply with the court's order.
We know he won't comply with it. Why? because the police, you'll see the police van. The police van will stand here with the lights on and then watch them do it. And we are so helpless, we can't do anything.
Your brother thinks that you are being bullied.
We are, because this is our property. My father obtained it, I think, back in 1959. It's been in the family.
But have you tried to engage Mr. Olomado?
What are we going to say to him?
We pay property taxes on this land.
What do you think we should say to him? We've been on this land for well over 60 years, and we haven't had any interruptions. So what should we say to somebody like that, who forcefully takes something that doesn't belong to him?
So beyond the
court, that's all we have to do. I think we can do for now.
Yes.
Let's go through the courts.
And if you have something to say right now to probably Mr. Olomado or the authorities, the court or whoever, what will be your...
I hope the courts will be fair in this case, because we've been on this land over 60 years without any interruptions. And then somebody comes overnight to destroy everything on it.
Okay.
I think when there's an issue and two people dispute something, they should wait for the courts to decide who the rightful owner is. It looks like whoever has the resources in this country can just take the lead, destroy anything, and before the long process of the court takes place, he would have had as much possession on the land as he can. The system itself is flawed.
So for the Tamaklo family here in Tesano, their land, which has been in their possession for over 60 years, is unduly being taken over by a developer. They hope that the state and the laws of this country will come to their aid. For GhanaWeb TV, George AEC. Until we meet for our next episode of Say It Loud, it's bye.
Welcome to the Lowdown on GhanaWeb TV. This is your most informative socio-political program you can find online. We give you all the facts and updates on issues that matter to you. My name is Ni Akwe Ismail Akwe. In this edition, we are going to discuss a very important subject matter that affects the cross-section of Ghanaians. That's sickle cell disease. What is a sickle cell disease? How is it treated? What are all the issues surrounding the sickle cell disease in Ghana? We have some sickle cell disease advocates in our studio. They are going to tell us more about the disease and also how best we could create a very conducive environment for those who are affected by it in the country. We'll be right back and we'll introduce them and discuss more about this topic after this break. Welcome back from the break. This is the Lowdown on GhanaWeb TV. Our guests, as we said earlier, for this important discussion are Dr. Enam Sefako Bankas. She's the Managing Director of Sickle Life, and also Nanaisi Duka Makmate. She's the founder of Sickle Cell Awareness Initiative. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
I like your shirts, quite bright red. It matches with our new sets.
It does.
Indeed, this is not the set we use, but today we're trying to change things a bit.
It looks good.
Yes. So, Dr. Enam Sefako Bankas, I will start with you. We know sickle cell is a very important subject in Ghana, and a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about sickle cell. But if you can tell us, what's the population of people who are affected by the sickle cell disease in Ghana, if you have that figure?
Okay, thank you very much. So, unfortunately, we don't do a lot of research about this condition in Ghana and even globally. However, we know that about 500,000 people live with sickle cell disease in Ghana, and data suggests that 2% of newborns born in this country have sickle cell disease. So that amounts to 15,000 babies born with sickle cell disease every year in this country. And to make it more real for us, we need to understand that every 1 in 3 people in this country have the sickle cell trait. What that means is that you have the capacity or the ability to pass on the traits to your children. So it's very important that we talk about sickle cell disease, because with this information, we know that the prevalence is high, and so there's a large number of people who have this condition, and there's also a large probability of passing on this condition to our children. That's why we need to talk about it.
As a managing director of Sickle Life, I know you reach out to people who are living with sickle cell disease. How many do you have in your circle?
So currently, we have a support group that has over 250 people actively on that page. And that's just because of the limitations of WhatsApp.
Yes.
But then, other than that, we also have a lot of people in the communities that we go to, that we engage with. And then we have people who are not able to utilize WhatsApp platforms, who we are also engaging with through our support group members in the communities. But just on WhatsApp, we have 250 people, and then we have others on other social media platforms.
Then let me come to Nanesi. You are the founder of Sickle Cell Awareness Initiative. Do you also have a support group?
Yes, we do.
How many are you?
I would say our reach is in the thousands, just because we don't take advantage of just traditional channels, digital channels. We do a lot of direct targeting, and a lot of our campaigns and awareness outreaches that we get involved in, we make sure that they reach the masses. And so, yes, we do have smaller cells of support groups, but we are not as, I wouldn't say, boots on the ground as well networked as Sickle Life, which is why we do a lot of work together. But combined, our NGOs reach thousands of people every day.
So there's one statement, it's very unpopular, that people say that sickle cell is a death sentence. Is this something that you would agree to or disagree to?
Absolutely not. Vehemently disagree to, just because I think that in itself is symptomatic of the national narrative around sickle cell disease and why we have morbidity rates that are so high in the country vis-a-vis in developed countries that also have a sickle cell prevalence, but they are living well into adulthood. And so it's absolutely not a death sentence, but a lot of these deaths associated with sickle cell are preventable. And so it's conversation and language that we should move away from. The sooner the better.
Who is the oldest person you know living with sickle cell right now, and what's the age? Maybe that could give us an idea.
Mama Lucy, yes, she's a part of our group. She is 92 this year.
Oh.
Yes.
And she's living with sickle cell?
Living strong. Living strong.
That's quite interesting.
Yes.
What about your group? Do you have an oldest person? Same. Mama
Yes.
Lucy. We would want to meet her one day and have a discussion.
Absolutely,
Yes.
we can arrange it.
Now let's go into the health part of it. How does one get sickle cell? I know there are some misconceptions that it's either a curse or the other popular one is through the foods people or women eat when they are pregnant. I've heard that as well.
Okay.
How does one get sickle cell?
Okay, so sickle cell is a genetic disorder. What that means is that it's something that is intrinsic to you. It's something that you are born with. It's not acquired from what your mother eats or being associated with someone who has the condition. So the only way you can obtain it is if your parents happen to have the trait for the condition. When I say the trait, it means that they have the mutation or the genetic change And so maybe as we talk, we'll explain this further.
Yes.
But then a person has sickle cell disease when they have two of this change gene, right? And so what is called the normal variant, which we don't like to use that kind of language, is A. You hear people saying I'm AA, I'm AS. Yeah. Yes. So the unmutated form is the hemoglobin A. And then the mutated or changed form is the hemoglobin S. And then other mutated ones. So there are other types like S, like C, like E, like O. If I discover one today, I'll call it enam or bankers. Right. So when you inherit one from your mother and one from your dad, that's what forms your hemoglobin genotype. So your parents may be, let's say, AS and then AS, and then when they meet and then you have one from them, each of them, then whatever you have, if there are two of these non-A forms, then you have sickle cell disease. Okay. So a person has sickle cell disease when they have a hemoglobin S and any other mutated form, right? So hemoglobin SS, hemoglobin SC, hemoglobin S beta thalassemia, all of those are sickle cell disease.
Okay, and with the differences you are mentioning, with the SS, SC, and the others, do they vary in terms of its severity, or they are all the same? Okay, so the differences are actually because of the exact type of change or mutation that happens and where the position is. And there are also differences in the clinical expression of the disease. So hemoglobin SS is the most severe and most common form. And then the others, like SC, S beta thalassemia, are milder forms. Okay. And which one shouldn't you ever have? SS? Is that it? And we wouldn't say don't ever have A, but then yes, the SS is more clinically severe. However, there are also certain clinical presentations that are more common in other types. For example, a person who has hemoglobin SC is more predisposed to getting something we call retinopathy. Retinopathy is a clinical effect of sickle cell on the eye that can lead to blindness. And that is something that is not common in SS. And it happens because people with SC have a higher blood level or hemoglobin level, right? So even though when you are SS, your blood level is always lower because you are SS, when you are SC, your blood level is higher, but then it puts you at risk of retinopathy. And then there's something else also called avascular necrosis. That's also more common in the SC genotype, right? So even though we may say one is milder than the other, there are also certain things that are more common in what we deem to be milder. So they all have different challenges that they deal with. So this is quite an important question. Would you advise anyone who has been diagnosed with an AS to marry someone who is also AS? Thanks. So it's not a mandate to decide for people who to marry. Ours is just to educate people, give them all the information, and then we leave them to make that informed decision. And we know that elsewhere people are regulating who can marry who and what should be done. But then for us, the important thing is that we tell people not to wait until it's time to get married and then you go and do the test, because at that point you're already biased in your decision making. So even when we give the information and people are not willing to listen to us and to make any informed decision. However, what we do is that we give you the all the information about your risk or chances of having a child with sickle cell disease. So in this example, for an AS parent, we know that the chance of having a child who is AA is 1 in 4. And then the chance of having a child who is SS is also 1 in 4. And then the chance of having a child who is AS is 2 in 4, right? But this is with each pregnancy, right? So it's not like when you have 4 children, then it's 1 AA, 1 SS, and then 2 AS,
That's not it. Every time you get pregnant, it resets. So we just put this information for you, and then you have to decide on your own. But then we also know that there's advancement in medical knowledge. And so when we are given the information, we also have to let them know that there are various levels of prevention. So there's primary prevention, where you want to avoid the condition altogether by not even trying, right? And so in this case, there are some people who really, they may have those genotypes and they don't want to have kids at all, right? So they may get married and not have children at all. There are some who will get married and also opt for IVF with genetic selection. It's a very valid option. There are some who will go in for adoption. It's an option that is available. There are some who will go in, leave it to genetics, chance, whatever will happen, have that child with sickle cell and opt for all the medications that we've mentioned, the hydroxyurea, the crizanlizumabs, every medicine that is now available, right? And there are some who can even afford this bone marrow transplant or will go in for gene therapy. All these things are valid options, and our place is just to put this to the people, and then you do that assessment on your own, that am I in a position to afford a bone marrow transplant? Can I access gene therapy? Do I have the social support to care for a child with sickle cell disease? You know, so it's a person by person decision, but then at the end of it, you just need to be able to make that informed decision. So that's all we do.
We've been schooled by Dr. Enam Sefako Bankers, and you are a medical doctor.
I am.
Yes, and you've given us all the very important terminology, which is more medical, and we could read more about it and we'll speak more about all these traits of sickle cell disease. We'll be right back after this break for more. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. This is the Lowdown. My name is Niakwe Ismail Akwe, and we have our guests here. That's Dr. Bankas and also Nanesi, and we are talking about sickle cell disease. So you were giving us a lot of terminologies about how the hemoglobin and also the whole blood cells come together to create the disease, and it's something that happens genetically as well. Now, what about the effects after a child is born and the child has been diagnosed? Is it diagnosed? Yes.
Diagnosed.
The child has been diagnosed with sickle cell, maybe SS, maybe SC. What's the first thing that's done at the hospital?
Well, it depends in every circumstance. It's one, I think a lot of it has to do with where you are born, and so the interventions that can happen. There are some countries and in some parts of the world, everyone is screened when they are born. Okay. So you're able to detect sickle cell disease at birth. And where there's advancement in medicine to that level, it means that treatment and interventions can begin straight away. You go on certain medications that aid with the management straight away. You go on certain medications that help to prevent infection straight away up until you're at the age of 5. And so monitoring is easier. In Ghana, it's a different situation. Over the last 2 decades, we've made a lot of advancements with regards to newborn screening and what have you, but I, for example, didn't get diagnosed with hemoglobin SS until I was 8 years old.
Oh.
And so I didn't.
Ghana?
In Ghana, yes. I found out in Ghana. I was unwell, and my parents took me to the hospital, and the doctor said, you should probably check for sickle cell, and that's the first time they tested. So I was fine until I was 8 years old. There are other people who will be challenged in terms of their health and other things right from birth. And so with that, they are able to diagnose and then find a solution. I mean, currently research suggests that up to 90% of births that are sickle cell disease births, those children will die before they are 5 years old. And so with that is, in this country, a lot of people, and there's been some conversation in the past about sickle cell deaths being attributed to malaria. They died from malaria, they died from malaria because there was no diagnosis of sickle cell disease. And so I can't say that there's a specific thing, but the most important thing is that you know when screening happens as soon as possible so that the right interventions can take place.
So it's quite important to know that you have sickle cell,
Yes.
the disease,
Yes,
and
I
I
do.
don't know if you also do.
I do. I have SC.
SC. Oh, okay. So this is a very important, point to note. And you could tell us about your struggles too, or what you've been through. So when you were diagnosed at 8 years old, how did your parents take it, and what did they do at that point?
From what I know, from what I've been told or what they care to tell me, I think there was some confusion. At the time, this would have been probably 25, 26 years ago, and they didn't know what we know now about sickle cell disease. So the little information that they had, they ran with it and said, we would do everything we can to support you and to shield you. I think the one thing that they remembered from the doctor's visits is that drink a lot of water, make sure she drinks a lot of water. So I became like a mobile poly tank, water reservoir, just if they could help it, I was drinking water. And so it affects everyone differently. There are some people I've spoken to who, when their parents found out, it was, right from the very beginning, just what intervention from birth can they put in place. And there are some people who also have found out and have felt helpless because they don't know where to turn, who to go to, people they can speak to answer their questions. So it's varied. And with sickle cell disease, in as much as you can say this group of people, they are SS, or this group of people, they are SC, or beta thalassemia, every individual has a different manifestation of sickle cell. And so we try as much as possible through our work to create public awareness, and then you can then translate that information into, on a day-to-day basis, how you use that.
Do you have the same experience? When were you diagnosed? Was it from birth or later in, your childhood?
Yes, it was in infancy.
Okay.
I had one of the earliest symptoms of sickle cell disease. So it's called foot syndrome.
Okay.
So what happens is that you get swelling of the fingers and toes, and it's just because of the sickle cells blocking the vessels in there. And so my parents, of course, took me to the hospital, and they ran the sickle cell genotype test, and then that was when the diagnosis was made. And my mom is a health worker, and so from that point on, we started doing a lot of the interventions. So the drinking of water, the staying hydrated at every point, avoiding a million things, the taking of the medications, and every single thing that, we are told at our reviews, just to ensure that I live as full a life as has been possible. And so yes, that's also my story. So it started very, very early for me.
And was it difficult for your family as well?
Yes, it comes with a lot of challenges because it's a chronic medical condition. So you live your normal life, but then it's interspersed with acute pain episodes and acute illnesses. So sometimes you'd have to be admitted. Sometimes somebody would have to leave work to come and stay by you, and it's sometimes it's emotionally challenging. But then here I am. I mean, I'm a medical doctor. I'm running this organization. We are collaborating on this great projects and these great projects together. So yes, it's both sides, right? But then in the end, I think that this experience is what has made me who I am today. So
I have a friend who also has been diagnosed with sickle cell. It's, I think, SS. One thing that his parents always say: "Hey, stop going out at night. Don't walk in the rain. Don't do all these things." Is it? A recurring concern for sickle cell. Parents and also for children who've been diagnosed.
Yes, so there are certain defined things, we call it pathophysiology in medicine, that would cause the crises or acute pain episodes or the various things that happen in sickle cell disease. But then we know that there are some physical things that may contribute to them, right? And so we call those things precipitants. So things like extremes of temperature, so when it's too cold or too warm, when you are dehydrated, when there's physical or emotional stress, when there's an infection, things like that are known to start certain physical processes in the body that would lead to the ailments, the bone pain, or the hemolysis, right, or all the other things that we see in sickle cell disease. So we advise persons living with sickle cell disease to look out for the specific things that precipitate these episodes in them, because as Nanesi mentioned, we all have a different experience with this condition. So you look out for those things and you try to avoid them so that you don't end up with a recurrent episode. So for some people, it's when it starts raining, you don't even have to be out in the rain, and then you have the episode. For some people, it's being in a cold room, and then for others, it's that very hot temperature, and sweating, not drinking water. So you see that when a child has sickle cell, we always encourage them to drink a lot of water, have your sweater, don't be out in the rain, don't run around as much as the other kids, because you get exhausted, you'd sweat, you'd be dehydrated. So all these physical things that we are telling these kids or adults with sickle cell to do are just contributory factors, because we know that there are things that happen in the body, right? And so these physical things will just start the process of sickling, and so we want to prevent that process from starting. That's why we do these.
In terms of climate and also our region, is Ghana a very difficult place to live in as someone living with sickle cell?
I would say every climate has its challenges. Like Dr. Enam said, if you were somewhere where it's winter throughout the year, then that's an extreme. Naturally, the human body has a way of acclimatizing, does it not? And so there are some benefits to having one temperature throughout the year. But every climate has its challenges. Naturally, I would say for Ghana specifically, it's tropical, so it's very hot. And so that makes people who are living with sickle cell disease in Ghana prone to dehydration. So the remedy for that is make sure you are not dehydrated. And so that would mean just constantly drinking a lot of water, making sure that you're flushing toxins out of your system, you're flushing breakdowns out of your system, and you're healthy, you're well hydrated. You're well hydrated against the climate, yes.
So still on climate, but this time is the culture. So the culture of our people, culture in Ghana, how does that affect people living with sickle cell? Because I know a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions and a lot of prejudice and stigma all around, all over. So how do you deal with that? And what are some of the worst ones you've ever heard about?
Well, I think to answer your first question, the biggest thing would be the stigma associated with sickle cell disease. And it's owing to the fact that people are not well informed about sickle cell disease, right? And so if they don't know, they will just put in a narrative where they don't know. Unfortunately, it's been more of an ignorant narrative, because in this country you just don't know what this thing is, and there isn't enough information to fill in the gaps. And so I would say the climate here just lends itself naturally to undue stigmatization, and therefore stakeholders, families, caregivers, and those with sickle cell themselves then feel the psychological effects of this disease in their lives. And so the big things that we do as advocacy groups is high up on our agenda to push anti-stigmatization campaigns and to create support systems for those who are dealing with these challenges, so that they have someone to speak to.
So how many stigmatization, public stigma cases have you dealt with so far, with your organization?
Too many to count.
Oh, too many.
Too many.
I thought it was just the most recent one.
Oh, no,
But we'll talk
absolutely.
about that soon. However, I just want to see if there were previous ones that you were dealing with.
There have been.
What are the ones that you can remember, readily remember?
I wouldn't want to mention names, but then every time something happens, we get calls and messages. Have you seen this? What are you going to do about it? And sometimes we just go there and just observe what is happening. And in one instance, it was just really unfortunate to observe what was happening, because it was called out and the person just kept going on and was not remorseful. And I had to think about it and wonder if it was a space I wanted to enter, because it was going to be very hurtful to go there and not even be able to reach out to the person and make any change. And so on a personal level, I decided, let me just let this go, because the person was being spoken to and there was absolutely no remorse. There was another one quite recently. Again, the messages kept coming. This person has done this. Don't you want to say something? And I was like, really, it keeps happening. And buttressing the point Nana is making, we've normalized the stigma around sickle cell disease in our setting such that so many people don't even recognize it. So you are saying something very derogatory about sickle cell, or you are doing something that stigmatizes somebody with sickle cell disease in your workplace or in your school, but then you don't even notice that what you are doing is stigmatizing. And even when it's called out to you, it doesn't even click. You don't make that connect, because to you it's normal. Like, how dare they even complain, you know? And it's really something that we need to be more, we need to think more about, because these are people like you, like anybody else, that are living their lives, you know. And it makes it very difficult, because if you listen to them, you listen to us, tell our stories, talk about the challenges that we are going through, and we are excelling despite all of these, and then we have people adding on to this, it makes it very, very difficult. And we keep on hearing these things and then having to quench the flames, because for us, we are leading a large number of people, and every time something else happens, we have to, you know, do damage control, basically. Yeah. So it's a challenge, but then I mean, we are still working on it. And then we put out the positive messages, we put out the information about the condition, we put out stories about people living with the condition and doing everything that everybody else is doing, so that you know that yes, you can have sickle cell disease and be anything and everything else, and it doesn't have to be a limitation or be a reason why you can't be whatever you want to be. Yeah,
we will not repeat any of the things, the worst things people have said out of ignorance. However, what's the extent you've gone to get the right thing done with your organization?
Speaking to people as much as possible, because people say things, or their utterances or their actions is usually as a result of their thinking. And so you want to deal with the roots, which is that you deal with their thinking, you deal with what they say and what they think. And so for me, anytime someone will lean towards stigmatization, it's just an opportunity for me to have a conversation with them, or for the organization, or volunteers, or people to reach out and say, I think you're missing some information here. Let me help you fill in the gaps. And for us, that's the extent to which we go. We are constantly, last year, we ran a very successful campaign called I Am Not a Sickler. And that was a message we put out with some high-profile people, some medical people as well, saying, I'm not, this word that has been used to describe people with sickle cell, sickler, it's terrible.
It's derogatory.
So it is indeed. And we try if you've ever used it or you know anyone who has ever used it, you have an opportunity to say they are not sicklers, they are more than that. And you saw real faces of people say, I'm not a sickler, I'm a mother, I'm not a sickler, I'm a student, I'm not a sickler, I'm an entrepreneur. And seeing people's faces and them telling you, I don't want to be addressed by what you see as my limiting factor. And who coined that word sickler anyway? And what made you think it's okay to address me as such? I think those are the things that resonate with people, not, you know, attacks and fighting back. And no, is that speaking to the consciousness of people and saying, if we can think about how this is registered in your psyche and we can update that thinking, hopefully we will update your utterances and your behavior as well.
This is quite an important information, and we'll get more from Dr. Bankas and also Nanesi right after this break. There's a lowdown. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back from the break. This is a lowdown on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Ni Akwe Ismail Akwe, and we are discussing the effects of sickle cell and also all issues around sickle cell. Our guests are very important people. Our guest Nanesi from the Sickle Cell Awareness Initiative, and Dr. Enam Bankas, she's the Managing Director of Sickle Life. We're having very important discussions. We're telling us some of the stigma that's around sickle cell disease and how people tag derogatorily people who are living with sickle cell. Now, let's talk about some of the crises that people with sickle cell go through and what the public could do in terms of support in case they find them in crisis. And I know definitely parents know how to handle it because they go to the hospitals and they get information. So what are some of the crises? Let's start with you, Dr. Enam.
Okay, so this is a very important topic. First of all, sickle cell disease is not just pain or crisis. People just attribute sickle cell disease to the recurrent pain episode that people have, or what is termed crisis. But sickle cell disease is not just crisis. You have a full life. It's just a chronic medical condition interspersed with acute episodes of pain or other forms of crises. Right. So the first one are these acute pain episodes that people commonly know, and this is because of the sickle-shaped red blood cells, which are because of the mutated genes. And so what happens is that the red cells, they are usually donut-shaped, and they're able to go through your blood vessels easily, sending oxygen to every part of your body. But then when this mutation or change happens, now the red blood cells have this sickle shape and they get stuck in various vessels. And that is all that causes the pain because oxygen is not moving where it needs to go, and the waste products are not coming back. And so what we advise is that anytime you are having a pain episode, you need to go to the hospital. But then our patients know this, that once it starts, there are certain things you can do at home, right? So the first thing is to hydrate, drink a lot of water, because we've said that dehydration precipitates it and aggravates it. So you drink water so that your cells can flow, right? And then also you take your painkillers. Our patients, especially those who go for regular reviews, they usually have some mild analgesics at home. So you know that when your pain starts, there are certain painkillers that you can take at home that there are no problems with. So you take the mildest one, and then if it doesn't work after a while, you take the next one. And then if it's still not working, you need to rush to the hospital. There are some instances that if you have pain, and for example, there's an accompanying fever, you're having chest pain with your, like the pain is not just a limb or something, that one you don't wait for anything. You go immediately. if they are in a place where maybe there are other factors, for example, it's also cold in addition, you need to mitigate those other external factors. So you ensure that the temperature is regulated. So for the pain, you ensure that you do those things and then you take them to the hospital. In addition to that, other things may also happen in sickle cell disease. As I said, sickle cell is not just pain. We have something that we call hemolytic or hyperhemolytic crisis. What that simply means is that they may be having dark urine or yellowing of their eyes and palms and other parts of the body. And this is also because of the very same thing, the sickle cells. So here, the cells are breaking down even much faster than normal. Back to the explanation, these are abnormal red cells because of the mutation or the genetic change. They are breaking down faster because the body knows that it needs oxygen, and these cells are not able to carry oxygen around the body. So they break down much faster, about 10 to 20 days, compared to the regular red cells that will break down in about 120 days. Now, if you get an additional factor, such as an infection, they'll start breaking down even faster than the faster rate of 10 to 20 days. And so a person with sickle cell who might already be a little jaundiced, that's having yellow eyes, will start having even more yellow eyes, and then their urine will become dark, right? Now, this is something that you need to show up in the hospital immediately, because what it means is that your red cells are breaking down, so you're going to become anemic, right? So that's something you need to show up at the hospital for, and that's because there's something that is causing it. So it could be an infection, you know, so you need to show up. There's another thing we call a sequestration crisis. A sequestration crisis just means that the sickle cells, so everything is because of the sickle cell, right? It's pooling in an organ. It could be your liver or your spleen. So when that happens, and you would feel, you know that like your tummy, the tummy may start getting larger, they may start having pain. So for the kids especially, the pediatricians teach them how to palpate or press their children's abdomen, so that if there's any change, they're able to detect it and rush them to the hospital. You know, and then there's another one we call an aplastic crisis, where the blood level just drops drastically because of a certain infection, you understand? So these are all very, very different things that happen primarily because the person has sickle cell disease, because of a certain genetic change, right? But then they cause very different things in the body, right? So it's very important that we understand this. What can all of us do? As members of the public, if there's a child in your community who has sickle cell disease, there needs to be some level of understanding. Because, for example, if their blood level is low, so they are anemic, they obviously may not be as active as the average child. So if you maybe send them to do something, they may not be able to run at the same pace as another child. And even if they do that, they may probably be dyspneic, be like panting or something like that. So you need to be considerate of that child, you understand? In the classroom, we've said these children should be drinking a lot of water. If you are drinking a lot of water, you are going to be peeing a lot. So if you have a child with sickle cell in your class, you need to understand that this child is going to be going to the washroom a lot, right? And so teachers need to be more considerate and not see it as these children being stubborn or wanting to go out to play. It also means that we've said that stress could be a precipitant. So what it means is that around exam times, these children may be unwell. So there needs to be those kinds of concessions in schools such that if a child happens to be unwell during exams, it shouldn't be a reason not to allow them to write their exam. In certain schools, I worked in the university hospital, for example, you'd see people with sickle cell disease with their IV fluids on their arms writing their exam. That concession is made for them. Other than that, what keeps on happening, and it's so heartbreaking to see so many people with sickle cell disease held back in school over and over and over again, because preparing for exam is a stressor. So what it means is that every time you have an exam, you are going to be held back, you know. So this is like something that and teachers are amongst us in the public. So it's something that we can all do. So when you think about it, you can do it. At a workplace, if you have a colleague who has sickle cell disease, the person needs to be going for reviews from time to time. And it's not just when they are sick, it's also when they are not sick, to prevent them from falling sick. So it means that you need to be considerate, you need to be understanding that they are not just leaving work because they don't want to work. They are leaving to prevent them from falling sick. So bosses and colleagues and everyone else needs to be understanding of this fact, that this person really needs to pace themselves in their work. If they say that, can you turn off the AC, it's not because they are being fussy or something of the sort. They are just trying to maintain their health. If they are being slower at something, it's just because they are pacing themselves. If they are going for reviews, it's because they are trying to maintain their health. So there are certain very basic things that people with sickle cell do, certain adjustments that they have to make in their lives to ensure that they are able to live like everyone else. But then without that understanding, you think that they are making life difficult for everyone. But then all of us have a role to play in doing this. Even for the media, it's very important that, like today, you've given us this platform to talk about this, and then we are making all of these things known to you, and so many other people are going to learn about these things. So you come to see that every single one of us has a role to play. The government has a role to play in terms of policy, every one of us. So it's very, very critical.
This is very, very important information, and I was just startled because there are a lot of things I also don't know, as you said, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be educated, if I may say that. So, Nanesi, did you also go through some of these crises while in school? Were your teachers very accommodating of your situation?
I did go through some crises. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. You just never know what you are going to get, but that's human behavior, is it not? And so we just have to keep it moving. You do the best that you can, take each day at a time. Sometimes I've had the worst of it, which needs the most advanced interventions, and then sometimes it's slight pain here or there where a simple painkiller will just knock it off, and then I can go about my business. But again, like Dr. Enam said, sickle cell is not just crisis, so my life is not engulfed with crisis. I am not bothered by crisis. It's when it comes as something that has to be dealt with, I deal with it and then I move forward. My biggest thing that I try to say to everyone is that try to think of yourself or your family member who's dealing with sickle cell, or your colleague or your classmates. Don't think of them as, don't be fire service. Don't think of them as a solution that you have to do when there's a fire, you put it out. It's more, how can we ensure that they are living a healthy life, they are living a happy life, they are living a fulfilled life. It's making sure that they are managing this condition well, and they are putting preventive measures in place as opposed to reactive measures in place. So it's not, oh, there's a crisis, we're at the hospital. We want to change that narrative around sickle cell. How can I take care of myself with these cost-effective, simple interventions that we've discussed to keep you well, to keep you healthy, to keep you out in the rain if you have to be, for lack of a better expression. But that's what I think our focus needs to be on.
Okay, so the Sickle Cell Awareness Initiative, when did you found that organization?
Formally in 2018, we started working from 2015, but we weren't formally out in the media. We launched 3 years later. We had to do a lot of research, speak to a lot of people. We were entering a very interesting space, and in a climate that is also very particular. And so we launched finally in 2018, and we've been doing some good work since.
So what have you been doing?
Wow, okay. Besides the advocacy work that we do, just making sure that we will take as many of these interviews as possible, speak to people directly, speak to as many of the stakeholders that we can, from the individuals to families to caretakers to the government. Besides that, we make sure that we conduct blood donation drives, screening exercises. So we've spoken a lot about genotype. You don't know if you're a carrier to make a decision that's informed if you don't know your genotype, right? So screening people for free, encouraging them, school outreaches, all these campaigns like I spoke to you about, I'm Not a Sickler. We've also embarked on an infrastructural project. So we built an outpatient department at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital so that we know there's a space for people with enhanced facilities, that they can visit. And so it's been a broad spectrum of things that we do on a day-to-day basis.
So you built an entire outpatient department?
Yes, we did.
Oh, then
yes, we did.
From funding from,
individuals,
okay.
Organizations. We had a lot of people come together and say, I want to support. Some supported in kind with cement and tiles and air conditioners. Other people gave money, companies gave money. And so we look forward to going back to the Ghana Institute of Clinical Genetics, and that was just phase 1 of our project. So we look forward to going back and doing phase 2 and beyond.
That's quite interesting. Okay. And Sickle Life, you are the managing director. What have you been doing, and when did you start the organization?
Yes, so formally we were incorporated in 2016, but then prior to that, in 2013, I started it as just a blog. So what had happened was that I was diagnosed with a complication of the condition called avascular necrosis. So at the time, I just had to put my life on hold a bit because I couldn't do much. I couldn't walk, I couldn't play basketball, I couldn't jog, I couldn't do anything. So I just started writing about what was happening to me. And I realized that there was a gap in the knowledge about sickle cell disease. So I was just blogging. And then there was a lot of interest from Ghana, South Africa, US, UK, even health workers, medical students. I was like, okay, let's just keep writing. And then I finished school in 2015. And then
medical school?
Medical school.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, let's see what we can do with this. So 2016, we launched officially. And then we had our first screening project and blood donation. And then I saw that, oh, wow. A lot of my colleagues and like even my senior colleagues came around, and then they were like, yes, let's do this together, because there's really this gap within the system in terms of screening and advocacy and so much more for sickle cell disease. And so since then, in collaboration with organizations like Sky, we've been able to run so many free sickle cell disease screening projects, because again, it's important that we empower people to make informed decisions about sickle cell disease. And once you are not providing the screening for them, they are not able to do that. So we do the screening, we do the genetic counseling, and then we do the health education through these health talks. We also do a lot of online engagement through our social media activities, and then in-person interviews such as this. And then we have a very strong support group system where we are able to engage persons living with sickle cell disease. And then they get to know that, one, you're not the only person who is going through all of this. You're able to learn from other people, like how to manage some of the challenges that you are going through. And then we have a welfare system such that if you are having a particular challenge with the condition and you need some support, we're able to finance some of it. We also have something we call the mentorship project, where we have young people who have sickle cell disease, and we bring them in contact with adults who have the condition. And then it's just for mentorship, because there are these, one of the myths out there, as you mentioned, is that it's a death sentence. So we're able to show these young people and their parents that this is us. We have sickle cell disease. We are past 18 or whatever age that we were given or people give, and we are still here, right? And so it's a mentorship project that is really good for these young people. And then, so these are things that we've been doing since 2016, and these young people get to see that this is something that is possible. So these are just a number of the things that we've been doing. And so far, I think that we are doing a lot together. So yes.
Soon, I'll let you give your contacts out so people could reach out to you and be a part of your organization if they need to. But what kind of interventions or support are you getting from, let's say, the state? Is there anything like that from the state, any support?
Okay, so, well, there's a lot that can be done. I think that, for one, this year or the past 2 years, we've seen some improvements, or at least movements, in the sickle cell disease space. So, Nanisi mentioned hydroxyurea. It's a disease-modifying medication that people with sickle cell disease are given. And there's been work towards putting it on NHIS. And this was a promise that we received over 2 years ago. And there's been progress, very gradual progress towards putting it on NHIS, so that so many more children and adults living with sickle cell disease can have access to it, because that's been the biggest limitation. And so I guess the support we are getting from the state is that it's finally been put on NHIS. However, the rollout has been the challenge. And so we are hoping that finally it can be rolled out so that we can have our kids on it. But then apart from that, this has been the first time in a very long time that we are seeing some movements in the sickle cell disease space in Ghana. But then there could be more, because, for example, we don't have a formal sickle cell disease program in the country as we have for like malaria program or tuberculosis or HIV or others. And so what happens is that the running of the condition in the country is being done on NGO level. So every NGO is doing what they can in their own small way, tackling a particular aspect of the condition. But then if we had a control program on that national level, then we'll consolidate everything, and then it will be, you know, the planning will be centralized, and then we can break it all down. So that's something that would be great if it could come from the state. But other than that, there are also like several levels to this. So on the healthcare system level as well, there are some great initiatives that have started. So Nanesi mentioned newborn screening, which would be a very great initiative if it could be rolled out on the national level. We've had pilot projects for several years, but then we've not been able to nationalize it because it's also being run by a single NGO or foundation. And so if the states like took it up, it would also be a way to diagnose all the kids in sickle cell disease who have, in Ghana, who have sickle cell disease, and then start them on hydroxyurea, for example. You know, so that's something that we should look at. And then providing comprehensive sickle cell care, you know, because as it is now, there are very few facilities like the Ghana Institute of Clinical Genetics where we can say that they are experts in managing sickle cell disease. So what happens currently is that there are people who will fall sick on a Friday afternoon and wait till Monday for the clinic to be opened to go there, because they don't want to go anywhere else, because they are the experts at managing sickle cell, which is quite unfortunate, because anything could happen. So we need to get to that point where on the healthcare systems level, we have more facilities offering comprehensive sickle cell care. We have more training institutions, having more hematologists for one, training our other health professionals in sickle cell disease, you know, having more research in the condition. So there are a lot, there's a lot. I mean, I could write a whole list of, like a whole wish list of things that I want for sickle cell disease. And so, yeah.
I know there have been a lot of studies that are done internationally on sickle cell, and I hear about cures and all of that. Is there a cure now?
So, for one, there are some studies being done in Ghana. Let me give a shout out to my department. So I work at Kolebu, and my department, we are doing a lot of great studies on sickle cell disease. I just wish that we could be doing more on a national level. But yes, there is a cure for sickle cell disease. However, it's not an accessible and widespread cure yet. So it's a bone marrow transplant. And what fundamentally is done is that, as we said, this is a genetic disease, and so the process is basically to give the person medication that wipes out the person's existing bone marrow, and then you transplant the bone marrow of a donor who does not have sickle cell disease. But then it's a very cumbersome process because you need to get somebody who matches them. It's called an HLA match, where it's like a more advanced form of like the way you do your blood group, where you need to match, because if you don't match, you could get a very bad reaction, but like exponentially increased, right? Yes, so you do somebody, like you find somebody who matches but doesn't have sickle cell disease, and then you transplant their marrow into that person, and then now that person who had sickle cell disease, the marrow, that new marrow grows in them, and now they no longer have sickle cell disease because whatever grows now is of what was donated. However, this is not easily, like it's not accessible, it's not available.
Are they still on trial stage? Or
it's being rolled out. There's another one which is called gene therapy, which is still in the trial phase.
Is that in Ghana now? Is Kolebu
no,
doing
not
that?
At all. Not at all.
Has Kolebu brought out something already, or you are still studying?
Oh, for gene therapy? Oh no, not we are not. No.
So I'm talking about Kolebu, and if the studies they are doing has done any.
No, Kolebu is not doing studies in gene therapy. We are doing studies in disease-modifying medications for sickle cell disease, and I'm very optimistic about them.
So no solutions out yet from the study?
No, we are still in the process.
You're still in the process.
Yes.
So how did you take the news when you heard that, oh, there's a cure? And I'm sure the first time you hear about it, maybe, I don't know, what did you feel about that?
No, I think essentially for those who have some knowledge of sickle cell, for a long time it's been a rolling line that there's no cure for sickle cell disease, because you think of bone marrow transplant and you think it's not accessible, it's very expensive, it's very risky. So the benefit has to be, 100% and zero risk, which is almost never the case, correct? So it's not even something that is widely publicized as there's a cure for sickle cell. For a long time, there was talk that there's no cure for sickle cell. Now, the medical space has seen a lot of improvement. We are hopeful that there will be a cure for sickle cell in our lifetime, because gene therapy, hydroxyurea, other management, there's a lot of work being done around the clock to ensure that there is a cure. But for now, management is your best route, and so that's what we push for.
So for the about 99% or 99.5% of people who can't access the bone therapy, is it bone therapy?
Bone marrow
the bone marrow transplant, and also the other cures that have come up, what advice would you give them? And also, what advice would you give the general public, finally?
I think everything we said so far. And yes, just take care of yourself. Visit your local physician and let them point you in the right direction in terms of seeking a hematologist, a care center, someone to take care of you. A lot of questions that we have on a day-to-day basis is that, I'm managing this at home, what medication should I take? Please don't manage it at home.
So how can they reach out to Sickle Cell Awareness Initiative?
We're online, so all our information is online. Once you put a search in Google, you can find us. We're on all the socials as Sky Ghana, so Sky is SCAI for Sickle Cell Awareness Initiative, Sky Ghana. You can find us. All our information is online. So
is there a special thing they'll get when they join?
Support is very special. Very special.
And then Sickle Life, how can they reach you?
Okay, so we're also online. So you'd find us on Facebook, Sickle Life, and then Twitter, Instagram, Sickle_Life, then LinkedIn, Sickle Life.
Okay. You also provide support.
Yes, we do.
And no throw pillow, something like no. Thank you very much, Dr. Enam Sefako Bankas, Managing Director of Sickle Life, and also Nanesi Duka Makmate, founder of Sickle Cell Awareness Initiative. Thank you very much for coming to the Lowdown.
Thank you.
You've just watched an exciting episode of the Lowdown, and we brought you all the information you need about sickle cell disease. Watch us every Monday on GhanaWeb TV and all of our digital channels. This is The Lowdown. My name is Ni Akwe Ismail Akwe. Be safe.
When I was coming to Nairobi, everyone was like, come to Carnival, come and taste different kinds of meat. And so today I'm going to be having crocodile meat for the first time, and I'm going to be tasting other meat. And so I am currently here and you are coming along with me, so let's go. You got to let it 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 go. So guys, the place is really nice. Thank you. Asante. I really like Asante. I like the aesthetics of the place. Oh, this is different. I can't wait to enjoy my meal. Thank you. These are what? Sauces. Alright. Thank you. When I was coming to Nairobi, everybody was like, come to Carnival and come and eat crocodile meat. And so this has just got started. Have you had crocodile meat before? No. So this is your first time? Yeah. Okay, so this is salads and some beef sauces. Beef sauce and some other kind of sauce, and so I'm having porridge as a starter. So this is how it looks like. It's soup. Yeah. Oh, tomato soup. Oh wow, she said it's tomato soup, and it actually tastes like potato soup.
This honey glazed pork ribs.
Honey glazed pork ribs.
Yes.
Okay.
Start off.
Yeah.
So here we bring everything one after the other. You eat as much as you can until you surrender the flag. No more meat.
No more meat. That's when we give up.
I'm fed enough. I'm fed up. I don't want to see any meat around me.
Okay.
So bring for me dessert menu. I bring the dessert menu. You have a choice of the dessert.
Okay.
And then you have some coffee or tea.
Oh, okay.
All. It's like a buffet.
So.
But it comes one after the other.
Yes. So I'm going to be trying the pork first.
Yes.
This is the pork.
Put it up.
So this is the pork meat.
Yes.
Okay.
Honey glazed.
Honey glazed pork. Okay.
Have the beef sausages.
Beef sausages.
Yes.
Okay.
Take the beef sausages. Go for the beef sausages. Sauce for the beef, tomato relish.
Mm.
Where from?
I'm from Ghana.
Ghana, how we get many Ghanaians. All of you?
No, I'm Kenyan. She's Kenyan. Guys, I think they are going to kill me here. Too much food.
You won't die. Chicken goes with garlic.
Chicken goes with garlic, right?
Yeah.
So show us the garlic.
The garlic is the white sauce.
So this is chicken. Chicken goes with the white sauce. And so there are a lot of options here. They have chili, white sauce, green. This is for the lamb. There's also salad. Guys, what I can't wait is to actually try the crocodile meat. That's the main reason why I'm here. So what it is, they're going to be bringing you the food as many as possible till you eat. When you give up, then you can raise the carnivore flag and say, you know what, I am done with my meal. So that's it. It's a very fancy restaurant. I like it. It's very, the aesthetics of this place is really good. And so let's enjoy the meal. This is potatoes. You're invited. Yeah.
This is called medicine. Dawa.
Medicine.
Yes. It's medicine for all the ailments.
Okay.
It has some lime, sugar, ice.
Smell. Okay, what is this? Bamboo? Straw?
That's bamboo.
Bamboo straw?
A magic stick.
Oh, I see.
For stirring it.
For stirring it?
Yeah.
What?
The beef is on the chicken.
Chicken is on a hot plate.
Yeah. And a glazed wings. Barbecue pieces.
Oh, nice.
No sauce for them.
I think my plate is getting full. So guys, at this point, I think we just have to give up because the meat is becoming too much and it's all nice. I like the lamb a lot. The chicken too is nice. The pork. In fact, all the meat is nice. This is passion fruit and mango, right? What meat is this?
This is the ostrich meatball.
Ostrich meatballs.
Yeah, with crocodile.
Crocodile.
And some ox balls.
And crocodile?
Yeah, crocodiles and the ox balls.
So please give me some crocodile.
Okay. Is the crocodile?
Crocodile meat.
Yeah. What about the ox balls?
Yes, I want the ox balls. Guys, the moment of truth. I'm going to be tasting the crocodile meat and the ox ball. Oxtail.
Ox balls.
Ox balls. Ox balls, guys.
And the ostrich meatball.
Ostrich meatballs. Yes, please, that is. Thank you.
So for the ostrich meatball, we recommend wild berry.
What? Wild berry?
Yeah, for the ostrich.
So, for you, right?
Then garlic sauce, which is the white one.
Then garlic sauce for the crocodile.
And tomato relish for the ox.
Tomato relish. Tomato relish. I'm super excited. Yes, I'm about to try the crocodile meat for the first time. You said it goes with what? The white?
Garlic, yeah, the white.
The white sauce. Okay, so I'm going to try it with the white sauce, a little bit of the white sauce. And guys, you're going to be seeing this for the first time. It's nice. It doesn't come salty all the time.
Yeah, they marinate it.
Salt it. It tastes like dark meat.
Chicken.
No, like dark meat. That's the taste I get from it. Or maybe it's the white sauce. I love it. Please give me more.
Okay.
What's that?
Pork.
Pork. No pork. We've had enough of them. So this is a close-up of how it looks like. This is the oxtail. Funny enough, I don't really like the oxtail. It has a funny feeling, and it's very. It's like it melts. It has a back smelly taste. Like you see those goat meat that has a smelly back, right? That's it. It has. I don't know how to put it, but the crocodile meat, yes, it's nice. I like it. So guys, this brings us to the end of this vlog. I totally enjoyed my time at the carnival. I had good meat. I tasted crocodile meat for the first time. It was a good experience, but it's quite pricey for somebody who is coming here on a budget. Until next time on my YouTube video, on my YouTube channel, I love you all. Much love from Nairobi. Back again, Charlie. I'm currently here in Abidjan, and this place is one of the places that everybody was like, Stella, when you find a place in Cote d'Ivoire, come here. It's called BBR. It's properly called BBR, and I'm here to see for myself. I'm here to experience the place. I'm here to soak some energy. I'm here to swim. I'm here to enjoy the luxury of this place. I'm not spending a night here, even though there is accommodation. I'm here, and of course, you guys are coming along. This video is sponsored by Lemonade Finance. Lemonade Finance allows Africans in Canada and the UK to send money to Ghana, Nigeria at zero fees. Yes, zero fees. They also have the best rates in the market, so you always get a complete value for your money. If you are not in Canada or the UK, don't worry, they'll soon be in Europe and in the US, so you could send money to anyone in Ghana. You can download the app with my referral link in the description box to get 10% cash back on your first transaction. You can also type my code STELLA if you've downloaded the app directly from the App Store or the Play Store. So we are currently going to BBR, and this is the card. Guys, this is very, very expensive, but we are paying $50 per person. So my friend and I are paying 30,000 CFA, which is very close to $50, which is like 350 Ghana cedis. And before getting there, we have to cross a river. It's a 20-minute ride, and so this is how it looks like from here. finally here. Everybody talks about this place. I hope and pray it's worth the it's worth the funds and it's worth the hype. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. So let's go, let's explore the place. I think they're like shooting like a movie or something around here. Let's see how it goes. So we just got here and the atmosphere is nice, the place is beautiful, but I don't know why I had a lot of expectations than I am seeing now. The most beautiful place is the pool, the very long pool here. It's so beautiful and we are here to take some few pictures for the gram and of course show you how it looks. Okay, so what we paid for, we are entitled to access to the pool and also a cocktail. So food is not included with the $50 we pay, which is 30,000 safer. So yeah, let's enjoy the place. What do you think about this place so far?
It's okay. Nice spots for picture taking.
It comes with a complimentary drink, so let's go have some cocktail. And guys, since I came to Cote d'Ivoire, the cocktails have been nice and like almost every cocktail I've had, I don't know what they put in their juice, but they seem to know how to do fruit juices very well. So since there's really little to do, I have no choice than to swim, of course. And you all are coming with me. This is how I look. It's like a small mini jacuzzi before the main pool. So let's go into the main pool. Let's swim. Let's have some fun. I've already ordered lunch, and in this country, it's more of fish. So we've ordered something with fish. So you guys are coming along. Let's go. So we are not too lucky to have a very clear weather now. It's about 3:30, I'm sure. But then today the sun decided not to come and play with us. So you're all invited. We're having yam, tilewele, and some tilapia. The food is really good. The tilapia is well spiced. So guys, this brings us to the end of my entire stay here at the BBR, and we're about to leave. I'm still wearing my costume with my dress. But guys, this place is very expensive, and the experience was not really worth it for somebody who wants to spend a day. Maybe the experience will be different if you decide to spend a night here, which is quite pricey for us as budget travelers. But then I think so far it's okay. The food was good. In terms of the language, obviously, because we speak English, most people, they're like, it's as though we are annoying them. Instead of them being nice to us, like trying to understand what you are trying to say, they don't even care. Well, like, we call a waiter and then he's like rolling his eyes at us, and I'm like, hey, where from that sort of this thing. So in terms of the reception here, the reception is not at all. But apart from that, I think the place is a nice place. Our full experience here. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed documenting my entire experience here. Until next time on my next video, I love you all.
The laws is what we use to prosecute. And I ask myself, what is ECG interested in? ECG is interested in this money. So if they come and cut you and you come and make an arrangement and they receive their money, or they're going to receive their money, what is the point of going to court? Court is the last resort. Courts are the last resort. But I can assure you, the judiciary system has already put in place special courts for electricity offenders, where judges have been appointed, where when you go, some of these recalcitrant institutions will find out that the power will be given to ECG to garnish your account. So you can say you won't pay, but when they take the money directly, I'm not sure you can say you won't pay. ECG itself, when it fails to pay another government institution called GRA of the necessary pensions, whatever, taxes, GRA takes the position of going to garnish ECG account. Because the GRA cannot go and do so in ECG, or cannot go and pull the meter. So they have taken the position that every week, if you don't pay me a certain amount of money out of your debt that you owe me as GRA, they are all guardian institutions. That's why I'm using that example, so that nobody says I picked on somebody. They garnish ECG accounts. And as a minister, I support the garnishi. So I've asked ECG, for those who are saying, won't pay, you go to court, you get the power to garnishi, and you send the garnishi. When I was the Minister of Education, somebody sent garnishi from WA to come and take 10 million from Ghana Education Service for land that was bought in the 50s. It's an easier way. So we are going to employ everything available. But my first option is not court. My first option is not prosecution. My first option is to deny you the service of electricity so that you come and sit down and arrange payment. ECG is not saying that pay 100% today. Be responsible that you don't continue to accumulate. So the first thing is that you have to demonstrate to them that from now going, I'll pay on time. For the debt, I can pay this amount now, and for the rest, please spread it out for me. We have to be responsible Ghanaians. That is all to say.
Right there.
It's an all-new season of Moons and Cuddles with Paula Amabroni. I am thrilled to be doing this with you in 2022. It only gets better, entertaining and educative. To all our teaming viewers who have been holding us down all these years, we say thank you. Our mantra for this season is positive vibes only. Yes, I repeat, positive vibes only. We're going to take our marriages and relationship to higher heights. As I love to put it, gonna spice things up. So if you're ready, let's get started. Welcome back. You're watching Moons and Cuddles on GhanaWeb TV. To kickstart this season, we're going to look at something very interesting. Yes, love and football. So we're just going to discuss how our difference in orientation bonds us. So on me, was seated on my couch is Hussein Hassan. He goes by HH. As he loves to call himself HH. Later we'll speak on, get to know why HH. He is a football enthusiast and a former TV presenter. He said he left us in the job. And the lady, Nashlade is an administrator and also a football enthusiast. Nashlade, I know you're a Barca fan, right?
Yes, I am.
Die hard.
Of course.
And HH, United forever.
Manchester United.
Okay.
Yeah.
Arsenal fans, later we'll talk about you.
Oh.
Alright, so we're just looking at love and football, just discussion. I've heard a lot of stories. With me, I love football. And my confession is that I don't think I can do a man who got no interest in football. Like, no, because at least I just want us to connect on a certain level. So, HH, I just want to find out, should your partner always support the team that you love?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
And she shouldn't even be a football fan necessarily. I think there are a lot more levels I can connect with my partner other than just football.
Okay.
I'm looking at it from the bigger picture. And I dated someone who once told me she's a Manchester United fan, and the relationship lasted for like a year and some months, and I don't remember us even talking about Manchester United.
Really? Why didn't you get her jersey or customize with her name?
No, I got her once. I remember there was a problem, and you know how we guys sometimes apologize.
Okay.
You don't really like to say it, but you find ways of apologizing. Yeah, so I remember I got a Manchester United jersey, but for some reason we didn't discuss it. We discussed a lot more other things, but later I realized maybe it was just one of those things to.
Sometimes women we are not die-hard fans, so it's just we are supporting because our man is supporting.
Yeah, probably. Maybe it was just one of those lines to grab my attention or something.
She won with that. I must tell you. But then, what happened on match days where you guys both watched it? Because I know men love their football, so they're going to make time to watch.
No, she didn't. She didn't make time for football.
Okay.
So I watched my football alone.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Once a while she goes like, so what's the score? I'm like, oh yeah, Manchester United 1-1. Yeah, I hope the goat scored. I'm like, yeah. But that was just it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right, sure. So, Nashlade,
yes.
I just want to find out, is it more interested when you both support the same team? Like, how's the feeling like? Maybe based on your personal experience.
My personal experience.
Yeah.
For me, I wouldn't want my partner to support the same team.
So different teams.
Yes, different
that
teams.
Comes with the vibe.
Exactly.
Why so? Like if
we support the same team and something goes wrong with my team, who am I going to throw? Who is he going to throw? I'm more for the throw, okay?
Okay.
So I want him to support different team while I support my team. So on a match day, that is where the crash will be.
Okay.
On a match day, because if my team is playing and his team is playing, what are we going to watch? Which one? Mine or his? Do you get it? But in all, maybe I have to sacrifice or he has to sacrifice. At the end of the day, whichever way it goes, if my team loses or his team loses, if his team win or my team lose, then we control each other. Okay. Other than that, the house will be so boring.
So have you had experience maybe in your relationship life where you've had someone who you clicked with on the football level?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
We click so much. I always go for guys who are more of football fans. Because I said to myself, I can't do without football. That's one thing.
You don't want a situation where it looks like you're talking something different, you're talking football, and differences will sometimes matter. So, okay, with me, I was with Chelsea when I was in senior high school. And then when I started dating, the guy was a United fan. So quickly, I switched from Chelsea. I pledged my allegiance to United. And then along the way, I met a Madrid star. Yeah, then I moved. I started supporting Madrid. With me, it has been shaky, but now I'm an Arsenal fan.
I see. So the person you are with currently is an Arsenal fan. No, you're giving yourself away. You're giving yourself away. You're giving yourself away.
No, it's not always about
but
that.
I mean, I think it is something. It is something with a lot of ladies.
Yeah.
When they are with a guy, they tend to support the team that, or follow the team that the guy supports, and I think it's natural. I mean,
all right. Actually, so this one is for you. Is it normal for a man not to have any love for any type of sport? Like, it's just a no-no.
It's one of the weirdest things for me as a guy.
Okay.
You know, that I have a friend, and I think he's one of my closest friends. Timothy. He goes to the gym, works out and everything, but guy just doesn't love anything sports. Nothing sports. Weird. You know, it's weird. And you know, they say
not even the blasters, he doesn't love
nothing. Absolutely nothing. You know, they say guys who don't love football are into women or are into alcohol.
Really?
You know, but this guy is not into sports, not really into women, and doesn't do alcohol.
Shout out to Timothy, right? That's interesting. Yeah,
but I mean, he's a friend we connect with on I connect with on so many levels, but for football, you know, and that's why I say, I mean, personally, I will deal very well, and I've dated women who are not in sports at all, and you know, yeah, it hasn't been bad.
So it's you shouldn't, you know, have any problem when you find a man who has absolutely no football, maybe soccer, basketball, whatever. He doesn't have any interest in any type of sport.
I think you should have you may have a connection that is not necessarily football.
Yeah.
Okay, and if I have a connection with someone that is not necessarily football and it goes well, I think I would I can do with that. Right. You know, I can do with that.
Right. So with Nash, I know with women, so the recently held AFCON, I was so much into it and everybody was asking, what's up with you and the Black Stars? I have a history. My dad supported Kotoko. Like, he was a die-hard fan. We used to go to Daewoo to watch their matches when they come to the Eastern region. And he one time promised me that he was going to take me to AFCON. But that never happened because he passed on.
Okay,
sorry.
Yeah. So with me, I connect with the Black Stars. Even when people say, oh, they've disappointed you and all that, I still want... When we were kicked out of the AFCON, I cried. I cried my heart out because I was so disappointed because people told me, don't put your trust in the Black Stars. But with that, we'll discuss it another day. So with you, Nash, a woman who is so much into football, dedicated, a die-hard Barca fan, do you have men looking at you some way or women looking at you like, but I thought it's a man's thing?
Of course, yes. I have a lot of friends, both success. Like, why are you so crazy about football? What is it about football? I tell them, if you understand, you will love the game.
For the love of the game.
I have friends who are into it, they come together, we watch. Others who are not into it, they be like, when it's football time, don't call my phone. When it comes to me, you have to pack yourself somewhere because it's football time. So they call me like football B, kind of. A woman who is so much into football, like, what is it? Okay,
Yeah.
so sometimes it's just crazy that you find friends who are opposite you, but that is nature. You can't force anybody to love what you want.
Yeah.
So I just ignore them sometimes. But for my football, when it comes to me and it's game time, my friend, no attention for you.
So how do you create a bond with a partner? So maybe if you find a man that I don't really want to put it whether he loves football or not.
Okay.
How do you create that bond? How do you use, football to, spice things up?
Yeah, sometimes it's about your conviction power. You should be able to convince your partner to love what you also love, or at least have a little interest in it. With that, you can bond. But in the case, if he doesn't like anything about football, it will really disturb me, but that is going to be a lot of work on my side to do. It's game time. What do? I need to sit him down, tell him how football is interesting. It will all depend on me. If I can't convince him, he won't join me. And there will be always conflict in the house because it's football time and my attention all is on football and then not with him. So if I want him to join me, then I should be able to convince him to love the game. Yeah.
All right. So they said when it comes to love, you have to compromise. Here lies a situation, you were a football enthusiast, and then you have a partner who is 0-0. So on that level, how would you convince them? And if the convincing is not going well, do you say, I'm going to raise it all for love, so let's just abort mission and, cut down on the whole craze. It's match day. Now, betting is part of it, but then we'll go talk about that later. How do you do it? Do you let yourself go or drop the love for the football just to please your partner who doesn't have any interest at all?
Well, I mean, if I want to watch my football, I mean, I would watch it alone. If she's got interest in wanting to join me, watch, fine. But I am not really the kind of person who would like to, convert my partner into an overnight football freak.
Something that would break her heart.
I mean, into an overnight football freak. I wouldn't do that. But if she wants to join me watch, I mean, for the sake of it, or because I am watching, I mean, that's fine. But I think I'd rather focus on other areas, other areas that I think we click or we gel more than if it's sports.
All right. So before this conversation, I had a little chit-chat with some women, and then they told me that, Paula, sometimes you meet a man and he's so dedicated for football. It's time to, make time for me, and then it's all about that. We complain. Fine, we're not saying we should stop it. But then can you find the balance? So, HH, what would your advice be to men who overdo the thing? It's like, it's in their DNA, as they like to put it. It runs through their veins. There's nothing that... So when it's football time, like my lady, can you take your seat back? Like, how? But when after the 90 minutes you want to gel with me, you want to talk with me, go back to the coach or something else. I'm not doing it.
No, I mean there's a way to there's a way to do it. There's a way to convince the woman that okay, this is the time. When it's Champions League final,
you don't dare.
For example,
you don't dare.
I mean I cannot leave. I mean, so you've got to understand.
So what if we have Champions League night, the final is our anniversary? What are you going to do?
I may have to compromise.
Honest question. Honest response.
Listen, I may have to compromise or do something ahead of that anniversary to take your mind ahead of that Champions League final to take your mind off.
Okay, I knew it.
Something, right?
I'm not allowed to football.
Or maybe I would get you some gifts that I mean, just to make up for that.
Okay, women, they are right.
But
he's trying to tell you come up with a plan. There's always a replay.
There's always a replay, but
no,
I mean, it's not the same.
To the main game.
It's not the same. I remember the famous BBC sports presenter, Russell Fuller, had an anniversary on the night of the UEFA Champions. Exactly.
Who does that?
For reference. So sometimes, for the sake of peace,
you just have to compromise.
For the sake of peace, you just have to compromise.
Compromise.
Yeah.
All right. So, maybe someone watching us at home in their offices anywhere, they would say, okay, fine, I have an issue with my partner. They always get agitated when I talk football and all. At the end of this conversation, we're just going to create a platform where people who have issues, these petty things that we could solve in marriages and relationships. So when they watch, okay, fine, this is the tip that HH gave, Nash gave. So Nash, if you have a partner who is always agitated, how do you go about it? Because there are some men, with me, when I started talking football, they're like, it is not like they are shaming you, but you were like, oh, you get your heart don't even enter into it. But who said we don't have the heart to watch football and you know take all the disappointment? As I stated, I'm an Arsenal fan. What do you think?
You have a strong heart.
But now we are better now. Now we are a better side. Yeah,
really?
So on the back of that question, what would your advice be?
Like
the convincing, dealing with a partner like that.
Yeah,
because
like,
see, we can't always have it like she's always thinking I'm choosing football over here. In that case, in that scenario, what is the best thing to do?
See, football is how many minutes? 90 minutes.
90.
And we'll be staying together for long. So 90 minutes, I don't think will take anything away from us. So for me, I just want you to understand me. Okay, understand me. This is a game I love. You have interest also in something. If it is your day or your time, I'll compromise. Okay, I'll support you to watch your game or whatever interest you have. I'll support you. So 90 minutes wouldn't take anything away from our love life. So it just depends, like, you should be able to understand your partner. This is what he likes. This is what she likes. Okay, with the understanding power, I think nothing will go wrong. After 90 minutes, I'm all yours. So why are you struggling over what?
Do you agree with?
Yeah, I think I agree with her.
It should be more understanding.
Yeah, it is more a case of understanding. You know, but I mean, personally, experience has also taught me over the years that you know, women can use their power to bully you around.
How? Explain further.
There's no point to explain. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, women have. I mean, women have the convincing power if they want to. So experience have taught me over the years that, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, you do what's best for peace. You know, for peace to prevail. So if she wants me to forego the football, and I am unable to convince her about my football, I follow.
She wins. Yeah. But I've been caught up in a situation where I wanted to watch a movie. Okay. And then it was match day.
You see?
Charlie, that experience is bad. Then you are forced to watch. Yeah. I told you I have a lot for football, but then not when you really want to watch something and then you have to watch football. Maybe it's not my style.
That's like, your stronghold of maybe your interest, not the football. Because me, whatever movie it is, if it is football, forget it. I'll go for football.
No, so maybe you get two decoders, right? you have one in the hall and one in the bedroom. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean that's worked for some people. Yeah. So.
All right. Yeah. Now remember that Mountain Cuddles is sponsored by Cheesy Pizza. Cheesy Pizza has all you want from juices, smoothies, jollof, fried rice, spag, and meatballs. We have great deals for you all week round. Cheesy Pizza gives you the McCheesy combo every Monday and Thursday. With only 49 cedis, you get a small size pizza, fries and chicken, 1 cola drink at all branches. Tuesdays are Super Tuesdays at all Cheesy Pizza branches. Buy your Super Family Pizza at half price every Tuesday for 40 cedis and at all Cheesy Pizza branches. Be part of our midweek bonanza every Wednesday. Buy and get one free at all Cheesy Pizza branches. And also remember to start your weekend with our special jollof and fried rice from all our branches every Friday. Call the number 026-413-3397 to place your order. Cheesy Pizza, your way. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Monts and Cuddles continues.
From the dawn of time, people have engaged in several businesses. With the onset of technology and innovation, life has relatively been made easier. By using debit or credit cards,
mobile banking.
Thank you. And your favorite, mobile money?
tech has indeed married business. On BizTech, we spend time with faces behind known and upcoming businesses in the country.
Learn more about the new technologies and innovation,
as well as find out about the trending issues in the world of business.
Join us as we serve you with a variety of compelling interviews, projects and others right here on GhanaWeb TV.
You're welcome back from that quick break. You're still watching Moons and Cuddles with me, Paula Amabruni. I have on my couch HH and Nashley. They are all football enthusiasts. Before we went on that break, we were talking about the differences and stuff like that. But then straightforward to you, HH. How can football strengthen the bond between lovers? If there is, like the love of the game, how can it help a relationship grow and the connection?
Right. I think for every relationship, it's best when you identify something that, you know, that brings you together, something that's a common interest. Sure. You know, I am a fitness freak. I train a lot. I jog a lot. I do a lot of aerobics. You know, and so I'd love that I have a partner who loves fitness, you know, just as I do. So that's one thing that can bond two people. I don't believe in trying to convince your partner to become a football freak. You know, if you meet someone that's who loves football or is a football enthusiast, I mean that's a plus. But personally, I don't necessarily look out for a lady who's. I mean, we're in Ghana. You don't have too many ladies being football.
We are like 10%.
So if you're going to follow that, then probably you're not going to be in a relationship, or you're not going to. Yeah, you know. So.
All right, but then some will say that where you can never connect, there will be differences. So whether football, religion, politics, people still find their balance. They don't let that hold them back. So Nash, in a situation where you and your partner, it's just like these people are rivals, but then that's what your partner supports. Like maybe in Ghana, maybe politics, MPP and NDC. You might talk, but then when you come, it's like you are couples. Like we put that behind. So with that, so how do you find your balance?
Like I said earlier on, okay, it's all about the understanding power. If you both understand this is your partner's interest, it won't trouble you in any way. Like I love football. He doesn't. He loves politics or something else. I wouldn't let that bother me so much. So I'll just have to compromise with him at that particular time. Because at the end of the day, we are coming back together to the house, or we are coming back. So why do we have to fight over this? So at least if you are able to convince me to agree with you, fine. But if I'm not able to convince you, or you are not able to convince me, let me be. I'll be at my somewhere. When you finish yours, that's it. We come back together again. I wouldn't let that bring any form of grudge between us. Not at all, I wouldn't. Right. So you just have to understand each other, and that's all. You flow.
But what are some of the weird comments you've heard from people because you're a football enthusiast? With me, I'm like, but you don't take part of their winning bonus. It's a whole lot, like funny things.
Yeah, I understand.
That's an example, but to you, personal experience, what are some of the funny bad comments you've ever received?
Me? I remember when Liverpool beat us. You remember that? I think, when was that? 3 years ago, when we were beating 4-0.
Yeah.
I wept. I was actually at church, but my concentration all was on the game. So I couldn't capture anything that was going on at church. even my pastor was able to detect that my mind was not in church. So I got home and I couldn't go to work for 3 days.
3 days?
I was sick.
Charlie,
you can imagine leading 3-0.
I see.
And then you come back to 4-0.
Heartbreak.
Serious. I was sick. I went off social media and anything like that would bring my mind on that. I went off. So friends calling were like, people like my colleagues in the office were like, you are not at work. And I say, I'm not feeling well. So we know it's because of the game. We lost. So what? Come to us. I cannot concentrate. So they were like, but what do you get from it? I said, you don't know. That is where my interest is to allow me. You don't take parts of their bonuses and all that. I say, it doesn't matter. This is what I love. And my heart is in it. So like, you cry. What kind of lady are you? You haven't seen your child before. You don't even play the game. So what's your... I'm like, no problem. That is what I love. Allow me. And that's it.
We love that for a woman who knows what she wants and not what people think.
Yeah,
or what,
I only want you to intimidate me
as a regular
well.
lady, you should. It's okay. But then one thing that really interests me is the trolling on bad days. Like you're not gonna. Like there is only AFCON. I didn't have when Ghana was, of course, I was campaigning for the Black Stars. I was like, we're going to break the 40.
Nah,
that
is wrong.
Can you imagine?
You got it wrong.
But you told the Black Stars is not a team. We told you not to put your trust in them. So, AJ, how do you keep your composure when everybody seems to be trolling you? So you don't lose your cool. Because, Charlie, once your heart is in it, you might say something that might be offensive. Then later is, I'm sorry about it. So how do you keep a composure?
It depends. I mean, personally, I psych myself, you know, going into, especially these days with Manchester United, going into every game. I know that, I mean, yeah, we could win, we could lose, we could draw.
Yeah.
You know, so I psych myself. I mean, that's my way of dealing with the disappointment, a potential disappointment. So when we lose, I mean, I am I'm always psyched, you know. Yeah, so yeah, so I have withdrawn emotions, you know, from watching Manchester United.
Nash, I don't know if because you're a football enthusiast, you might not be able to relate, but women say men don't like watching football with them. I spoke to a guy who was like, the question is too much. I come to ask, why did they give you red card? Why, which team is playing? Like they said, the question is just too much. So to get their full concentration, they don't like to watch football with a woman who got zero knowledge about the game. Yeah. HH, why is that so?
When you're watching football, you want to have the maximum concentration.
Of course. Okay.
You know, especially if it's a big game, if it's a game you're looking forward to. You know, I mean, I don't want to be watching the Champions League final and be answering so many questions.
Oh, come on.
You know, and sometimes it can be boring. You know, it can get, I mean, who is this player? Who's that player? You know, yeah. I want to have that maximum concentration. So, you know, I mean, any other questions you've got, you can pen them down after the game. You can ask the questions and I'll answer them. But whilst the game is going on, I need the maximum concentration to watch the game.
So we can pen down our questions and maybe the first half we can...
Yeah, maybe half time you can ask the questions and I'll answer.
Ladies, so you heard from the reason why men don't love watching football with you is the questions. They need full concentration for the 90 minutes. So if you've got any questions, just ask your lecturer will tell you, pen them down after lesson. You can ask me. Actually, but hey, Nash, have you ever had an experience like that? Maybe watching a football with, not maybe a man, but a sibling, and then the questions just keep on coming from all angles?
Fortunately, all my siblings love football. Okay, except one, my little sister. I can't even identify her interest.
Okay.
So during the game, she'll be asking, so this one, what about it? I say, hey, sis, pack yourself, because you have no knowledge about the game. So you're coming to disturb me. You know, don't disturb me. But on the larger ground, I think most of my friends and then my siblings love football. So I haven't encountered that situation where I got to explain myself about red cards, about offside, about no.
Why are they taking a corner?
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of women debate like red card. No, this one
it's not red card, but they don't know what happened.
You know what's going on. Makes a red card. Please lower your voice. Well, man, I don't know if you've met a man who's crazy about PS. I don't understand the craze about PS5. Please explain with details and diagrams. Like, why is everyone crazy? Because I witnessed a wedding where the bride gifted
the groom.
And come and see all the men there. It was like they found a treasure.
Yeah.
Why is it a big deal?
I know the funny thing about it also is that you have guys who are not into football, who are into PS. You know, so personally, I'm not really a PS person.
Yeah.
I mean, I would play when I'm with friends who play, but I don't go crazy about it.
I still don't get it. Like, how? Everybody, because when it was released freshly, every guy was like, see, we don't like the singlets, we don't like the
we want the PS,
then people come in like, this year, surprise us with PS5. I don't get it. Maybe I need a PS5 lover to explain things better to me. Yeah, we've been discussing love and football, and I've been on the couch with Hussein, Hassan, and Nashlid. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the show continues. Welcome back to Moons and Cuddles on GhanaWeb TV with me, Paula Amabroni. So I have here in my hand the mystery box. Yes, for this all-new season, we've introduced the mystery box where my guest get to pick. We got some questions in here. Yeah, they'll pick it and then they'll answer. But then if you get to pick the empty sheet, you get the opportunity to ask me any question. Yeah, remember the show is 18+, so yeah. But then just today we are talking love and football. So I'm going to put the box right here. At the end of the whole thing, we'll try it out. And then we're going to be honest. If you said fair play, as they say, I beg you.
Okay.
All right. Now, in a case where you've decided that you want to settle with a man or woman, so let's take it from relationship to marriage. There are times where they say the differences, you have to sort it out because you don't want to enter into the relationship and you're like, no, I don't want this. And I'm at a point I'm not willing to change for you. So, HH has spoken that, he doesn't look at whether the woman loves football before he decides to settle with you or even date you. In such a situation where women fight their men, why is it that your friends come to our house, come and watch football and they make a whole lot of noise? You know how much I want my peace and calm. Should you go ahead and marry a football enthusiast knowing how crazy and the love they have for the game?
First of all, you need to know your interests. You need to know your interests. It's very, very important. If you can't compromise, then there's no love at the first place. So if you don't like football, let's say, okay, me, I don't like football, but he likes football. How many minutes? I said it.
Yeah, the 90 minutes.
It is that I can't just allow him and his friends to have that 90 minutes to have fun. And then at the end of the day, he comes back home. I see nothing wrong with it. So once again, it's all about the understanding part of it. You need to understand it that this is the kind of partner you are going in for. Because if you are going to date someone, I think by football months, you will know that this is a person you are going in for. He likes football. He likes football. So if you don't like football and he likes football, what do you have to do? Sometimes you either ignore or you join him.
If you can't beat them,
you join them. You see, so it all depends on the understanding, and then I don't see a big deal in this. I don't see a big deal at all in this. So you just have to understand your partner and then you move on with him. Allow him to have his fun. At the end of the day, come back, because one day is going to be your turn. He might not have interest in what you also have. So what will he do? Should he leave the house because you are watching your whatever or your interest? No, he's going to be around. You see? So if you don't like the football, it's either you're going to sit somewhere, read book, or like he said early on, we get to 2 sets. One in the bedroom, one in the hall. So my friend and I, or his friend and himself, can watch their game. And I also concentrate on whatever I like. That's all.
AJ, do you want to add something to that?
I think basically she said it all. You know, it's about compromise. I mean, and generally that's what relationships have got to be about. Marriages have got to be about. It's about compromise, you know, because you're two people coming from different backgrounds coming together. I mean, definitely there has got to be a compromise so that you are able to sustain the marriage or the relationship and have your peace of mind.
One thing that fascinates me is how men especially are able to keep football history and record up in their head. 92, they know who played, the coach, the captain of that squad. It's like, I don't know where you draw that. So is it that when you are young, you start, or there's a past question that maybe women we have not yet gotten our hands on? Because it's really crazy. You hear someone giving commentary and then he knows what happened 50 years even before he was born. How is it done?
No, I mean, it's all about interest. I'm sure that for you women, I mean, there are things about Kim Kardashian and all of those ladies that you're able to draw, you know, from way back. I mean, so it's all about interest. Where your interest lies, you're able to pick on a lot of things relating to that. So it's normal where your interest lies.
All right. So for a woman who is not so much into football but met a guy who's crazy about the game and she wants to join the fun, as I said, with me, when I think I really like you that much, how about me switching to your team? In that case, how do they also, for someone who wants to also develop the love for the game, is there a past question where their whole history and stuff like that, or you have to just Google it one after the other? Because for you to be a pro and know the dates of your head, so you're like, oh no, I know this was our coach 4 years ago, this is our new coach, I can list the entire team. How do you do that to help somebody who wants
once you develop the interest, all those things would come. I mean, you make the effort.
It will not come naturally.
Not necessarily, but you know, when you develop the interest, you start to read about it.
Read about it.
You start. I mean, these days where social media makes it easy for us to follow stuff relating to our teams, you know, you can like the various pages of the various football teams, Manchester United, Real Madrid, Arsenal, like the FIFA page, like the UEFA Champions League page and all of that, and all of those things will come.
So how did you learn? There are some people who are not so much into the history. With me, I don't know the history of the Black Stars, even my local team, Asante Kotoko, like I can tell you my bunch and stuff like that. But then for a woman who just loves, do you also know the history, or it's just the supposed mad love for Barca and then that's it?
Oh, I know some, not all do. Nobody can know all even. Because we came to meet the game, so you can't know. But like he said, you just have to like some of the pages and they give you updates. So when a page gives you updates and you want to know more about it, then you search. Whatever you want to know, you search, and that's it, you get the history of them.
All right. But before we wrap it up, I just want to find out how you develop the love for your various teams, because it just didn't come naturally. I've told you the story about mine. I'm going to start with AJ. How did you grow the love for United?
It was to Eric Cantona some years back. You know, first time, when I was growing up, first time I saw Eric Cantona scoring goals.
So Eric Cantona is a former
Manchester United player.
Okay, yes. For those who don't know, you cannot say like everybody knows who.
Oh, so you don't know Cantona? I'm sure she does.
Yeah, you don't know Cantona.
No, I'm saying that we are saying it more like, you know, like, who is that?
Yeah, so Eric Cantona is a former Manchester United player. He's French. You know, he joined Manchester United, and I mean, life changed for Manchester United, I'll say. Whenever Manchester United manager Sir Alex Ferguson is making references to players that have changed the course of Manchester United and made the club what it probably is today, he mentions Eric Cantona is one of the names that he mentions here. And Eric Cantona is the reason I fell in love with Manchester United. But my love for United heightened, of course, after the Champions League in 1999.
Okay.
Yeah, the Champions League in 1999.
That was it all.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I mean, that was when it heightened.
Okay.
Oh, right. Yeah. Why did you win a bet that night or something?
Oh, I mean, where was I going to win?
Very young.
Yeah, I was too little. But I loved Manchester United. And so the Champions League was just it for me, you know. I mean...
Nash, how did they all come about?
I actually started with Hearts of Oak because my dad was a fan of Hearts of Oak. So I get to watch games with him, Champions League, some of the leagues, and then I go for the style of play. So when I watch Barca play, I was somehow supporting Arsenal. Yeah.
You betrayed us. You can betray them one day.
Somehow. I haven't found my fate yet. So I was somehow supporting Arsenal. Then I watched Barca played one night and I was like, wow.
This is it.
This is it. And that's it. I just love the style of play. And then I think Arsenal got a bit of our style of play. So we have almost the same style of play. So I got attracted more to Barcelona, and till date, it has been it.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. But I forgot to bring this one up. I know a lady who complains that her man is so much into betting. Every time he wants to bet, I don't know how to say it. You understand you love the game, but the betting bit, I know money is involved. Have you met men who are so crazy about, or maybe... How?
Not in my circles.
Maybe they overdo. Some people overdo it.
Not in my circles. I don't have friends who do football betting. I mean, maybe they do, and I don't know. But I don't have friends who do football betting. I don't know any friends of mine close to me that are involved in football betting. But yeah, I know it's a craze. You know, it's a craze. I mean, you have a lot of young people getting involved because it's money anyway, you know, and a lot of young people these days will do just anything for money, you know.
Until you use your school fees and your team disappoints you. All right, great. But it's been an interesting conversation with you here for our opener for this new year. So let's move straight to the mystery box. We promise, the rule is that you promise to be honest. Whatever you pick, you're going to answer. Don't do it. They say ladies first, but let's start with
let's start with
Okay.
Okay. Great. What do we have here? Ta-da! Okay. So the question is, what would you go for? A Ben Dada or Debbie when you're considering settling? Okay, a bound say a theater bank, like DB, or you prefer like a girl that you're gonna grow with her.
You know, I come from a background where religiously, culturally, it's the man who is dominant.
Okay.
Okay. And so, you know, there's always that perception that a woman who has got money,
it's kind of
take the if you get what I mean, you know, would I mean, you wouldn't have her submit, as you ladies don't want to hear these days.
Oh, the submission is to your husband. The submission is okay when it's to your partner, like.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So I mean, I come from a background where the man is the dominant figure, and so not to say that I wouldn't want a woman who's well established and all of that, but I mean, I don't mind working it all the way with,
Okay,
you know, to make success with someone who's coming from nowhere.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Great. Ha ha. What do we have here? Oh, yeah, nobody picked an empty sheet, so. Okay. So this one is for you.
Okay.
Freak in the sheets, or freak in bed, or crucify me. There are some people who say they want to freak. Others still, they say they want someone who, not just do the missionary and stuff like that. To you, what do you prefer?
Oh, say.
Yes, you promised to follow the rules.
Word. Other question.
Yes, what do you want? A freak in bed or crucify me? You want a freak? What do you like that?
What do you like that?
It's as simple as that. We're not going to ask any further details.
If he's not a freak, you teach him.
We'll learn together.
I like that. I like that. Thank you very much for playing the game with me. As I said earlier, the show is sponsored by Cheesy Pizza. Cheesy Pizza has all you want from juices, smoothies, jollof, fried rice, spag, and meatballs. We have great deals for you all week round. Cheesy Pizza gives you the McCheesy combo every Monday and Thursday with only 49 cedis. You get one small pizza, fries and chicken, one cola drink at all branches. Tuesdays are Super Tuesday at Cheesy Pizza branches. Buy your Super Family Pizza at half price every Tuesday for 40 cedis. Be a part of our midweek bonanza every Wednesday. Buy and get one free at all Cheesy Pizza branches. And also remember to start your weekend with our special jollof and fried rice from all Cheesy Pizza branches every Friday. Call 026-413-3397 to place your order. Cheesy Pizza, your way. So Nash and HH, nice doing this with you here. I must say I enjoyed the conversation, and all those who have problems with their partners who are so into football, at least we've suggested ways that they can handle it. And as you stated, you don't have to totally give up what you love just to keep a relationship. So for you, our viewers, as we always do it, we seek to entertain you whilst also educating you on how to spice your relationship and marriage. All right, so Cheesy Pizza got something for you. Get yourself a coupon where you can enjoy a pizza from any. So you could pass one to Nash for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so you could visit any of their branches and get yourself a pizza.
Okay.
All right. Also, so we've come to the end of this episode of Moans and Cuddles. I did this with HH, he's a football enthusiast and former TV presenter, yes. And Nash is an administrator and also a woman who loves football. Yeah, and I was your host, Paula Amabroni. We'll be back in the next series with something bigger and better. See you soon.